Post Malone, where you been? All right, y'all. Give me a second to confirm the camera angles and nonsense like that, but I think we are ready and raring to go. Hey, new again, how you been? I'm seeing some familiar faces today. Okay. Let's get the... Thanks, Beth. I do. I didn't make this particular one, but I really love to work with clay, and I have been saying for some time, once I give myself the space to do so, I'm actually going to make a mock-up of one of these and possibly make some other creatures, because having a creature to drink my coffee or tea out of is kind of fantastic. Yeah. And it's the little things, you know, that make life bearable, like having a creature that you can speak to when you're drinking your tea. Metaphorically, obviously, of course. Of course. Of course. Yeah. Looking for a beautiful pond. That sounds lovely. We might go down to the river today. It's just a short walk from where I'm at. Nice to see you too. You know, through the screen. The dew is doing today. Beware of hair shenanigans. Otherwise, this week... Hey, Chris! Okay. Shake it out. Hello, everyone, and welcome. For those of you who are new here, hello. My name is Reverend Deborah. I am an interfaith minister, a movement facilitator, and your shenanigan shaman, because we talk about serious things in here, but we do not take ourselves too seriously in this space. Why? Because laughter is the best medicine. It really, really is. It's a thing. I have several lives going, so guys, I try to keep up with comments and questions as much as possible, but if I miss something, I do have moderators who hang out on the various platforms. I am live on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram right now. If in the future you'd like to see me live on another platform, just let me know. But know that it is a little bit busy here. And if I miss your question or I miss your concern and you want to continue the conversation after, please feel free to send me a message. Also, if you see someone in crisis in this space, I would really appreciate everyone helping me to support everyone in this space. Encourage somebody that you see in crisis to reach out to someone local, to call a hotline, to go and reach out to a resource that can really be helpful for that person. We have had an uptick in followers, which is amazing, but it also means an uptick in traffic to the lives. And I have been noticing more and more recently folks coming in really in need of care and attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not, this is not always the space for that. I literally just can't always see it. So if you are in crisis, please reach out in person to support services that can help you immediately in the present moment. That said, I appreciate you all helping me cultivate this CAYA space. CAYA, C-A-Y-A, stands for Come As You Are, because authenticity is what we're going for in here. Authenticity is the purest expression of your purpose, of you, of your divinity, of life. And the tools that I teach in here are intended to help you uncover that self, help you find the captain within, the higher, wiser self within, so that you can bring your locus of control right here, so that you can have a supportive, trusting relationship with yourself, which is the foundation for everything else that you do in life. So, this is our Bhakti Bites class. Bhakti is a Sanskrit word that means devotion. So devotion to what? Simply devotion to self-care. And maybe devotion to shenanigans, that might be part of it. But devotion to self-care. Because you can have an amazing practice, right? Where you go to the gym several times a week. Or maybe you do your yoga class several times a week. Maybe you go to the spa once a week. Fantastic. But along my journey, while I found these kinds of tools and self-care really helpful and supportive, I also realized that what I needed most was self-care in the moment. Self-care when I really needed it most. In the middle of an anxiety attack, in the middle of a difficult situation, in the middle of being triggered by my kid, because that's what happens when we're parents. These were the moments where I so desperately needed tools to help realign, to balance, and protect myself. So, over the last several months, we have been working with various different mudras, because mudras are a simple, accessible way to balance, align, and protect the energy body. We just finished our series on the chakras and mudras for each of the chakras. It was requested last week that what was requested of me last week? Information on how to protect and how to clear your energy body, particularly from those energy vampire kind of things, kind of situations. So we are going to talk a little bit about that this week. We're going to split it up into 3 different sections: in the breath, in the body, in the being. Moise, you asked me a question. What does the tree behind me stand for? Your pops put one of those up at the house, at the crib. This is actually from a wind chime, but the wind around here, it gets really, really intense, so it blew all the pieces of the wind chime apart, except for that tree. Actually, this tree, it doesn't have any particular meaning. You can find various meanings, various representations of a similar tree. But for me, the representation has always been that of our connection to the divine. We are the tree itself. And my connection into the earth is my roots. My connection into the cosmos is my branches. I am the trunk of the tree. And in that way, I am a vessel for life force that flows through between these two places. The union, the manifestation of divine union into the physical reality. So that has always been the representation for me. So I keep a lot of tree images around. And on my path, on my own journey, it was sitting beneath trees and learning to meditate that I found my first moments of meditation, my first visualizations, my first in-depth, I guess, experiences of meditation were found meditating with trees. So it's just a personal thing for me, I guess, yeah. But I'm sure you can go online and Google will probably tell you all kinds of representations and things like that. Maybe there's other cultures that have other things about it. Oh, I forgot my earrings today. It is what it is. So, we have been working with mudras, like I said, for several weeks. New again, you heard this one today. If you see the same tree in the forest, you are lost. Is that like an echo of like when the patterns keep patterning? Star Muse, you're a tree of life addict. Yeah. So there's the geometric shape of the tree of life and the seed of life and whatnot, and those are really cool. And I've definitely seen other, yeah. So Mudras. Yes, we've been working with mudras for several months now. I want to shift a little bit because at this point there's a huge library of mudras at this point. We will work with mudras this week, but I want to start this week on the how do we clear and protect our energy body with pranayama, with breath, because I think it's a really foundational place to start when you're talking about protecting your energy as well as clearing your energy. Again, mudras are accessible, but some of them we can't get into. The breath is something everyone everyone has. There are cases where we can't do mudras because we literally don't have the hands to do so, right? But the breath. We have the breath. So one of the first ways that we can work with our energy body to clear and to protect our energy body is by managing our breath. In fact, the term pranayama, the Sanskrit term for breath work, is really just means, it translates to control of breath, but the concept of control is not what we think of like tightly controlling something. Instead, control more means the alignment with, finding rhythm within, being able to align the self with this natural process in the body. See, new again, you're riding around, you need your hands at the moment. Exactly. And there are times where I will teach, right? And I'll say, if you're driving, don't do this mudra. So I want to start with breath work. And I'm going to start with a couple of these that you guys probably already know. Some of these are ones that I've already shared. So if they're new, just take it as an opportunity to practice again. And I didn't pick a single practice for us to do today, so I'm going to kind of leave it up to everybody here. And let me know if there's a particular type of pranayama that I go over that you would like to practice. There's a couple of these. I mean, I'll show you how to do each of them, but if you'd like to sit with a practice, pipe up and let me know what you'd prefer, and we can go ahead and do that. So, first and foremost, one of my favorite places to start. Can you please screenshot at a time where I'm holding the mug? Yeah, here, I'll hold it up for you, hon. There you go. I call him my tea troll. Once upon a time, there was a series of videos when I was posting videos before class went live. Somebody said that's the thing to do. So I was posting videos before I went live, and I was using my tea troll. I found a little like sound bite that was like this little creature sound. It was really cute. I should probably go back to making him speak because that was really fun. You're very welcome. Perfect. New again. Stopped at the park, sitting under a tree. Okay, so I made a bunch of notes here this morning because I wanted to remember all the different types of pranayama and some mantras and things like that we're going to work with. So I separated the pranayama into protective versus clearing. I might pause several times today just to sit and try to formulate or put together how I'm going to present this stuff today. So again, everyone, this is a CAYA space. We welcome you to show up just as you are, but we ask that everyone show up with curiosity and willingness to see the value in each other and to show up with a sense of personal responsibility that keeps you respectful of the space. If you are unable to be respectful of the space, I myself or my moderators will mute you. Questions are welcome. Playfulness is welcome. Silliness, authenticity is welcome. But authenticity is the recognition of the value of self as well as the value of other. It does not need to be arrogant. It does not need to be obtuse or pushy or rude. So I ask that everybody maintain a sense of personal responsibility in this space so that we can cultivate a safe space where we can all enjoy this space. If you cannot do that, again, just like in a temple or a church, if you come into a space where everyone is welcome, but you are disruptive to that space, you will be ushered out of that space. That's not because you are not welcome. That's because you are not exercising the personal responsibility to maintain a safe space for everyone. Okay? That said, let's move right in, guys. Protecting your energy body is a big topic that I hear a lot of people talking about. Energy vampires, right? My energy being siphoned off by other people. People using my energy for various things. People sending me negative energy. What's the term I keep hearing lately? People talk about psychic attacks, right? All of these ways that we perceive that other people are using their energy, weaponizing their energy to either take away or affect us negatively. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. So, how do we go about protecting ourselves? How do we go about protecting our energy body in a world where more and more and more people are learning Reiki and practicing energy and are, again, consciously or unconsciously, trying to get our energy from us to satisfy their need for energy? First and foremost, we've talked a lot about this in class many times over, but one of the most powerful things that you can do is to clear your channel, is to clear your personal energy channels, is to align your chakras and your energy body, because the higher the frequency you resonate at, the less likely that these negative, lower, thicker, heavier energies are going to be able to pull you down. Okay, we will talk about so many tools over this week and maybe next week, probably just this week, but we will talk about a lot of different tools for practicing the ways of clearing your energy body and protecting your energy body. There are active, intentional things that you can do, but first and foremost, we want to make sure that our systems are aligned and that we are treating our systems well, supporting our systems, fortifying our systems. We can do that with food, water, activities, intentions, visualizations, meditations, mudras, mantras, song, dance, pranayama, all manner of things. Let's talk about the energy system itself. Okay, so we understand what we're even talking about when I'm saying protecting your energy body, your energy self, your chakras and stuff. What is all of that? Hey, Byron, how are you? What is all of that? Hold on, let me make sure that YouTube is public. I just suddenly had a thought, because a lot of times, yes, it is public. Okay. Tech be teching. Plant medicine, yes, that's another way we can protect ourselves. Tones, music, plants that we ingest as well as put in our home, stones, right? Spells, magic, sigils. There are so many freaking ways to protect the self. Etheric. Are you giving me a definition for the energy body? Electromagnetic field created by the heart forms a that word always gets me. The torus field through and around the body, known as the aura and etheric body. Yeah, so thank you, my friend. So our energy body, yes, I am Taurus, Byron. Your heart generates a field of energy around you. Depending on the school of thought that you are learning about the energy through, you will learn about various sheaths or layers of the energy self. Pretty much all of them are very similar in the reality that there is a physical layer of self. Within that, there are elements that are primary elements in the self. When we move outside of the self, we are talking about our emotional body, our energy body, our auric body, etheric body, astral body. If you've ever done any kind of astral projection or dream journey traveling and things like that, oftentimes you can travel in the astral body. You can expand your awareness to that outer self as a vessel for this kind of travel. We'll talk about that stuff another week. We can totally do a different week on astral travel and the light body and things like that. Yeah. But this week we are talking about the energy body, how to clear and protect. Okay? Clear and protect. Why do we need to clear and protect? As we develop, just like our posture, just like our personality, just like the way that we speak, the accents and whatnot, our energy also settles into a familiar state of being. As I'm growing up, I adopt the accent of the people around me, of my culture, of my caregivers. Same happens with my energy body. As I'm growing, my energy centers, my energy body learns to resonate at a frequency that is best suited to my growth and safety. Listen to that. When I'm very young, my energy body, my physical body, they're not focused on longevity. They're not, well, they all maybe longevity. They're not focused on enlightenment. They're not focused on self-actualization. They're not focused on building upon the self. The goal is simply, can we survive in this reality? How do we survive in this reality? In child psychology, in child development psychology, we call it the enculturation process. During the enculturation process, the physical body, the cognitive body, right, the energy body is all absorbing the information all around us, from our environment, from the food, from our caregivers, from the level of sound, from the energy and emotions of the people around us. If we are around people, if we grew up with people who have a low frequency or frequency of fear, a frequency of aggression, we will adopt these energies to a degree because they are familiar, and that is how we survive. The child body brain energy is all focused on survival. How do I fit into this world? I am a vulnerable little squish that can only squeak and squiggle. I need to make sure that I can survive in the world, right? So that is what the system is doing at that time. Up until the age of about 25, your system is still developing. So for the first 25 years, your system is developing habits, is developing patterns so that you can survive in this world. When you turn 25 or so, when you get into your 20s, your prefrontal cortex comes fully online. Your prefrontal cortex is the area in your brain that is responsible for reflective thinking, higher processings, decision making, being able to hindsight, right? These kinds of things really come online completely when in your early mid 20s, when your prefrontal cortex comes online. It is at this point that our system just barely begins to work on thriving. The early system is focused on survival. Once the whole system comes online, then we shift to thriving. It becomes it has the opportunity to become an intentional process of coming home to yourself, of aligning yourself, of adjusting your energy body, of protecting your energy body, real understanding of consequences, yes, the cause and effect sort of processes. But in this culture, we focus only on the brain. So at this point, we think, well, now this is what I do, is I go to college and I go do higher study, I learn a skill and I become an expert or a master in my trade, right? This is where we move to self-actualization, to enlightenment, to thriving, to deeper understanding through things like parenthood and relationships and things like that we acquire at these later stages. When our systems settle into whatever habitual state that the system thought was most important to keep us safe, after that happens, this is how we develop our personality traits, our energy habits, our emotional triggers, all of that kind of stuff. All of these symptoms in our personality, in our breath, in the way we hold our body, in the habits we have, in the way that we deal with our emotions. These are all indicators of where we can realign, where we can heal, where we can balance. I talk about it a lot like the analogy that as you're growing, your entire culture and all the caregivers are offering you pieces of this vessel, right? Your parents are going to help build your vessel in a particular way based on their morals and values and desires for you. Your culture, your teachers, your friends are all going to help you build this vessel, but you're going to do so to some degree unconsciously because your system is not completely done. So through that time, all of this is developing. About 25 or so, you get the keys to this vessel. Again, culturally, we don't teach our children that. We don't teach our young adults that. We don't teach them, hey, now is your opportunity to start learning about this vessel and you can adjust this vessel. If your culture or your parents gave you a tank and you're more of like a top-down convertible drive by the beach kind of person, you can change your vessel. You can adjust your vessel. If you grew up in a very strict religion that felt so confining and difficult for you, when you turn into your 20s, you can go ahead and reconstruct that part of your vessel if you would like to. You can examine it, you can take a look at it, you can take it apart, you can put it back together with something else or with the same material that it was made with. But most of us are going to end up with a vessel that is misaligned. That's not to blame anybody. That's not to shame anybody. That's not to point any fingers. That's because we come from imbalanced cultures and family members and generational trauma, and we're collectively evolving and healing. It's where we're at. There's no need to point fingers. There's no need to use shame or blame or guilt or judgment or any of that kind of stuff. We can simply accept this is what was built based on the material that was available to my caregivers, from my culture and my friends and all of that. Pretty much all of that, like I said, all of us are going to have imbalances. Imbalances, at their very basic core, all equate to stuck, rigid, narrow, stiff energy, slow-moving, sluggish energy through the system. So our system is intended to thrive on universal life force. This is the life force that flows through absolutely everything, okay? The prana that flows through everything in the universe. The vibration itself. If we know that everything in the universe is just molecules vibrating at different frequencies, then what we're talking about when I say universal life force is the vibration itself of different frequencies, yes, but the vibration itself is universal life force. We can call it divine life force, we can call it God particle, we can call it Christ consciousness, we can call it many, many things. We can call it simply prana, life force. This flows through everything in the universe. When our systems are rigid or dampened or restricted based on the patterns that our systems learned early on, then the ability for that prana to flow through us freely is restricted. When that flow of prana is restricted, we will seek to satisfy our system's need for a strong flow of prana by siphoning that energy from other sources, almost always from finite sources. That might be food, substances, intimacy, relationships, codependency, type A work ethic, any of these kinds of things that can throw us off balance. Even your workout, right? Even your self-care could be imbalanced if it takes away from the energy from other areas of your life that also need your attention. If I am going to the gym so much that I'm ignoring my relationship or my role as a parent or my job or whatever other things, right, then it becomes an unhealthy pattern. If it takes so much energy that it siphons it away from other parts of your life, it becomes an unhealthy pattern. Unhealthy patterns exist because of imbalances in the energy body. So one of the very first things that you can do, okay, so when these imbalances exist, it also makes us weaker, our system's weaker, and more vulnerable to energetic attacks, to siphoning energy off. An example of this is one that I often have been talking about the last couple of weeks, as we've been talking about the mudras, right, or about the chakras. For example, if I have a deficiency here in my solar plexus, this is my center for will. If I lack confidence, lack self-esteem to set healthy boundaries or to ask for what I want or to make decisions on my own, this can be a deficiency here in the solar plexus. If I have a deficiency, which is just a restriction of energy that flows through my solar plexus, it's not a balanced, vibrant energy. It's a kind of stuck or sluggish, slow internal energy that does not give me the kind of confidence that my system is designed for. When it is that way, my system will seek to satisfy a need. What could that look like? That could manifest as me finding people who have a verbose or very large excessive solar plexus, which looks like aggression, narcissism, overly controlling, that kind of energy. So my system, in seeking to balance itself out, will seek the unhealthy opposite of my deficiency or my excess. Right? We hear a lot about empaths these days. A lot of times an empath is someone with a large or a very open heart chakra, which can lend itself to imbalance, especially if this large heart or this big open heart chakra is calling in other people with a deficient heart chakra. What does that interaction look like? A push and a pull. My big heart chakra energy, your deficient heart chakra, right? My excessive, your deficient, are going to feed off of each other and create a codependent, energetically codependent relationship. Can that be a codependent, intimate relationship? Yeah. It can also be a codependent relationship somehow with your boss and the satisfaction you get from being type A and doing everything 110%, right? Those kinds of energies are how we get our needs satisfied, but they are not the way that our system is really intended to satisfy these needs. Those needs are intended to be satisfied through that universal prana, that life force that flows through everything. When our systems are aligned and balanced, that life force flows through us more freely and openly, and we can stay in a centered, balanced place much more easily. We don't grope for satisfaction from food. We don't grope for satisfaction from emotional outbursts. We don't need to weaponize our anger to try to get one over or get something out of somebody else. There is no more energetic push and pull. So when we talk about protecting the energy body, clearing the energy body, the first place that we should, that in my opinion, that we should always start is by working on our own systems, is by getting our systems in balance, by opening those channels so that life force can flow freely through us. So Buttercup, so the first step would be clearing. Yeah, sort of. I would even say the first step is balancing. And there's a subtle difference there, right? Because I can use things to clear my energy body more forcefully, or I can invite balance in my energy body. When I am inviting balance in my energy body, what happens is that through the process of balancing it, I can find imbalances. Those imbalances are going to lead me to places that need to be cleared or places that need to be boosted, right? That need more energy to them. So, and I'll show you right here, Buttercup, because we're gonna start moving into the pranayama. Okay. So as you guys, if you've been around for a while, you know that one of my favorite balancing pranayama practices is simply alternate nostril breathing. Nadi Shodhana in Sanskrit, not alternate nostril breathing. There's a couple ways to do this one. You can simply imagine, as you close your eyes, as you breathe, Imagine that the breath is coming in through one nostril and going out through the other. In through one nostril and out through the other, alternating each time you take an inhale. Inhale through one side, exhale through the other. Obviously, without using your hands, without using a mudra, the breath is going to go in and out both nostrils. But setting the intention is going to help start to balance both sides. If you would like to intensify that practice, you can use a mudra. The traditional mudra to use with Nadi Shodhana, with alternate nostril breathing, is the Shanmukhi mudra, and is done like so. You drop the first two fingers on your right hand, keeping your pinky and your ring together, keeping your thumb extended, and we use the thumb and the ring finger to close both nostrils. Already balancing my body. Okay, so for alternate nostril breathing, we inhale and exhale. You can add a hold later on if you'd like to practice adding a hold, but I encourage you to start as simple as possible. Like I said, you can simply start by imagining the inhale one side and exhale the other side. You can simply start by inhaling and exhaling just intentionally. As we move deeper into alternate nostril breathing, we're going to add more pieces to this, or we're going to explore different variations. There we go. So, alternate nostril breathing. Begin with the right thumb on the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Switch by using the right ring on the left nostril. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. You notice that I'm switching nostrils after the inhale. Okay? Each time you inhale, switch. Exhale, inhale, switch. Exhale, inhale. So again, there's a couple variations of that. That's the simple breath practice. Why don't we do that for a couple of minutes, just because it's a really nice practice. It's a foundational practice, so if you don't know it yet, I highly recommend it. So let's sit with Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. You can use we're going to use the Shanmukhi mudra for this practice right here, for this time. Begin by using your right thumb to close your right nostril. Go ahead and close your eyes if you'd like to really sink into the practice. Inhale through the left nostril. Switch your fingers so you're closing the left nostril, and exhale through the right. Exhale all the way. Inhale through the right. Fill your lungs. Switch. Exhale through the left. Full exhale. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Switch. Exhale through the left. Do a couple more rounds on your own. Nice, slow, steady inhales and exhales. Switching with each inhale. Take your time. There's no rush. Finish on the last exhale through the left nostril, and go ahead and release your hands. And just pause for a few moments. Notice any sensation that was generated by this practice. It can be a sensation in your nose, in your head, in your throat, in your lungs, or anywhere else in your being. I encourage you to spend a few moments here just with your eyes closed, feeling into, bearing witness to whatever was generated by that practice. It is important after we do these practices to take the time to pause afterwards and sit with the sensations that were generated after the practice. Chris, you said that your left side is harder to breathe through. Yeah, so I was just about to say, one of the first things that you're probably going to notice is that one side was more difficult than the other. And it could be due to physical congestion, but also that physical congestion, remember that the physical body and the energy body are not isolated, separate things. A manifestation in the physical body is almost always an indication of some other layer of the self being out of balance. So, my left is also a little bit difficult, but I know that's an imbalance on that side. So when we are breathing with alternate nostril breathing, in terms of pranayama, right? In terms of these Vedic practices, what we are working with are the nadis. They're called nadis. It's the solar and lunar channels that run on either side, the left side and the right side of the body. And there's a couple of ways to visualize these. I have seen these represented as two channels between on either side of the chakras. I have seen these as intertwining between the chakras. I've seen representations of them going only to the third eye, and I've seen them going all the way up to the crown. What you guys will learn in this space as far as energy work and whatnot is mostly influenced by my practice that I was gifted, that I was shared with my family lineage practice. I have studied Sanskrit and Vedic sciences and yoga and whatnot, right? As well as acupressure and some other things like that. So there are terms I will use, but it's not the end-all be-all term, and there are many ways to look at the energy body and some differing representations. So I encourage you to do more research if you'd like to learn more, or if what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, maybe there's something else, some other bit of information that resonates better with you. So I just want to say that caveat, right? Remember, I'm not your guru. I can share with you what I have found and what I have learned, and the methods that I have learned these things through, the language I have learned it through. But I'm not the master end all be all guru of anything, okay? Make sure that what you're doing resonates with you. So, alternate nostril breathing is a really simple practice for finding imbalance in the body. We address the solar and lunar energies in the body, and note that your system shifts within like 45 minutes to an hour or so, of about that amount of time. Your system shifts from this side to that side, this side to that side. Just like your breath has an inhale and an exhale, so does your energy body have a kind of rhythm, have a kind of breath. And your energy body takes about 45 minutes to an hour to inhale and exhale. So alternate nostril breathing, while Chris, you said that your left side is difficult right now, try it in 45 minutes to an hour. Try it in about an hour and see if it's still difficult, if the left side is still more difficult, or you might find that the right side is a little more sluggish, or the left side has cleared away. If you are interested in learning the rhythm, like really exploring the rhythm of your energy body, I encourage you, I encourage you to spend several days, if you can bring the awareness to it, and every single hour, check with your energy system. Do something simple like alternate nostril breathing to find out where your energy system is. Keep a journal. It's a really, really powerful practice. But it takes a lot of attention and awareness, right? Okay. So we were talking about Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. And I shared with you the Shanmukhi mudra, this mudra to do the alternate nostril breathing. Another, I forget the name of this mudra here, but the other mudra is, instead of curling those first two fingers in, you extend them and place them at the third eye. I do like this one because it keeps the attention on the third eye, and the hand can more easily move like this, just little movements back and forth to close the nostrils. So again, what resonates with you, use that mudra. This is the traditional use of a mudra for alternate nostril breathing. This also is a mudra we can use for it, and traditionally we use our right hand. But again, I encourage you to play with these practices and explore them and make them your own. You can use your left as well. Just remember that you switch only after the inhale. So Nadi Shodhana, again, is a really good one for balancing the body, balancing the energy, clearing the energy, and finding out what needs to be balanced, finding out what is out of alignment. If you are doing alternate nostril breathing and you find that one particular side is out of balance versus the other, then I encourage you to do one of my favorite clearing practices. So this is your balancing. This is also your kind of diagnostic, right? Alternate nostril breathing is a really good diagnostic to find out where my breath is. There's a couple more diagnostic ones, and we can talk about those in a second. But I want to offer one of my favorite clearing. So we've done my diagnostic. Chris and I both found that our left side was a little bit sticky. So we're going to use Brahmari breath to clear both sides. We're going to use Brahmari breath to clear the energy body as a whole, the entire system. I really love Brahmari because it is a pretty strong practice, but that also means that it's imperative that you pay attention to what your system can handle. Remember that we are not in the business of creating a battle within ourselves in this space. There are a lot of places you can do that. You can create tension within yourself and in your lives. In this space, we meet ourselves with curiosity and willingness. And when we find our edges, we show them love and compassion. So if you are practicing Brahmari breath, here in a moment, I'll show you how to do it. And if you are practicing it, it becomes too intense. You become too lightheaded. You become dizzy. Your stomach feels a little uncomfortable. Stop. Be gentle with yourself and pause. I highly suggest using that pause to just sit with whatever was happening and to wait for that to dissipate. Divinely Guided Empress, you're left as well. Okay, we're going to move into Brahmari and we're going to get it sorted. So, make sure that you pause. Let whatever was stirring that became uncomfortable dissipate. If it dissipates enough for you to feel like you want to go back to the practice, then I encourage you to try to go back to the practice. If it happens again, maybe pause for a little bit longer, maybe save the practice for tomorrow, or choose another practice. When we are dealing with the delicate layers of self, the vulnerable insides that we all have, it is important that we learn to approach them with humility, with reverence, with patience, with kindness, with compassion, with gentleness, right? You wouldn't observe a beautiful spider web with the morning dew on it by swinging at it and screaming at it. No, you'd be quiet and still to see this beautiful, magnificent thing sparkling in the morning light, right? That is how our inner selves are. That is how the inner self, in my experience, when we address the inner self in this way, there is a lot more that we can discover. Thank you, friend. There's a lot more that we can receive when we are gentle and patient and loving than if we come in swinging and screaming. It's usually the swinging and screaming that we're already doing. It's usually the being controlling and hard hitting and creating tension that causes us these imbalances, that cause us to feel tension, to restrict the natural flow of energy that's intended to protect and clear our body all by itself. When your system is open and clear and this prana is flowing through it, there is not a lot of protecting or clearing that you have to do, because the system does that itself. What we are working with now is balancing, fortifying, clearing, and protecting our system so that we can reach that resonance, that clearing and protecting, that ideal resonance, right? So without further ado, Bhramari Pranayama. Bhramari Pranayama. There are a couple of variations to this, but I'm actually only going to give you one, because this is the only variation that I use. It's the only variation that I like to use. I don't really like the other version. So you can go find it if you'd like to find it, but I will not teach it here. Okay. Bhramari Pranayama is also known as hummingbee breath or bumblebee breath. It is a kind of a sensory deprivation practice, because you close off your ears and you shut your eyes. This does have a mudra associated with it. So that said too, if you have any issues or tension in the shoulders or the back, this may be one that you're kind of limited on, and that's okay. Remember, you can honor where you are in the moment, honor what your needs are, and you can also find other practices. This is not the end all be all for clearing your energy, and we'll talk about a couple more. So, Bhramari Pranayama. Bring both hands up to your face. Place the pinkies, the tips of the pinkies, at the corner of the mouth. Remember that we are not creating tension. So I don't want you pressing into your face. I don't want you squeezing your face or putting nail marks in your face. Bring the tips of your pinkies to touch the corners of your mouth with intention. We say no more than the weight of a nickel, right? Connection, intentional connection, without pressure, without tension. Pinkies to the corners of your mouth. Ring fingers to the corners of your nose. Middle fingers to rest on top of your eyelashes. Close your eyes and rest your middle fingers on top of your eyelashes. Then bring your pointer fingers to rest just above the eye. So you're actually touching that crease just below the eyebrow and at the top of the eye. We are not putting pressure on the face. Do not squeeze into your eyeballs. Do not close your nose. We are just putting intention to these connections. To practice Bhramari, we take a big deep breath in, full deep inhale, and then close the ears and exhale with a hum. So that will look like so. When you inhale, open the ears back up. So we're going to go through this again. Okay, Bhramari Pranayama. Woof, it's already clearing my head. The goal with Bhramari Pranayama is to try to get a steady hum for the duration of your hum. Full deep inhale, fill your lungs, and then with the exhale, and work on finding a nice steady hum. You can start with a quieter one, you can get louder, play with this practice. You can probably already feel the buzzing in your head, maybe even in your hands or your ears or your neck after doing one round. This is why I say be mindful of your system. We don't need to create a battle or tension within ourselves, okay? So let's do that again. Bhramari Pranayama for clearing the energy system. Pinkies, not to the nose, pinkies to the corner of the mouth. Ring fingers to the edges of the nostrils. Middle fingers. Close the eyes and place the middle fingers over the eyelashes. Place the pointer fingers just below the eyebrow and just at the top of the eye socket. Take a big deep breath in. Close the ears and exhale. Release before you inhale. You don't have to release the whole mudra, but definitely release your ears before you inhale. Only hold the ears closed on the exhale. You guys want to go for a couple more rounds? We're going to do a couple more rounds here of Brahmari breath. Thank you, friend, for reminding us that Christ consciousness flows more freely through our systems when our systems are clear and open. Christ consciousness, divinity, our connection with God, our connection with Christ, our connection with the Buddha or higher powers or any of this energy is going to be received in a clear, aligned system. If the system is gummed up and imbalanced and full of arrogance and narcissism, or those are the same things pretty much, and fear and need for control and a bunch of these other imbalances, we will not receive Christ consciousness or any of these things with any clarity. So again, this is a space where we invite Christ consciousness in. This is a space where we invite Hindu understandings. This is a space where we invite understandings from all different modalities, but we focus on the foundation of our connection to our personal spirituality. Your spirituality is your practice. So is mine, my practice. You are your guru. I am my guru, and the guru in me honors the guru in you, recognizes the divinity in you. The divinity in me recognizes the divinity in you. There is no need for arrogance or pushiness around any particular person's way of belief. My belief does not have to negate your belief. But the need to push my belief on other people's and demand that they believe what I believe is a sense of arrogance and is indicative of imbalance. So if you find yourself needing to throw the book at absolutely everybody, I encourage you to come into this space and try some of these practices to help you realign, to help you open your energy channels so that you can receive Christ consciousness or whatever it is, divinity, whatever divinity you would like to receive, so that you can receive the true wisdoms within it, not the arrogance, not the imbalances, not the narcissism that people add to it. Right? Chris, you have a headphone in one ear. Does that affect anything? I would definitely suggest doing the practice without the headphones in your ear. Yeah. Because it closes off the ears in a nice way that creates an echo within the head. That said, remember, honor yourself. Honor yourself. If I know that sound and certain practices can be too much sensory overload. So if you find that closing your ears while you're doing the hum is too much with your thumbs, again, guys, I said I wasn't going to offer really a lot of other variations here, but I will offer this only because I'd like to offer you suggestions on other things to do. If that's too much, if closing all these things is too much for you, you can also just place your hands cupped over your ears. That will also do the job. If you need to keep your headphones in for one reason or another, do that way. But I encourage you to try it. Thank you, friend. But I encourage you to try it in its traditional form, and then find the variations from there, because the traditional form is going to be one of the most powerful ways that you can do it. Variations often take us away from the peak of alignment available, right? Peak of benefit. We might be getting more benefit. We might be getting benefit here or benefit here, but it's not going to be the peak of what the practice is intended to do when we are modifying. Now that, again, That's not to shame anyone who chooses to modify. There are a lot of practices that I modify, but I always modify with the intention of getting myself to the traditional or the original practice. Okay. Clearing the energy system so that we can receive whatever divinity we would like to receive, right? So let's do Brahmari one more time. We're going to do 3 rounds back to back because I want you to experience the full sensation of doing at least a couple of rounds. When you are doing any practice, I always suggest that we try it for a minimum of 5 minutes because it takes about 5 minutes for the energy body, for the energy system to fully integrate or fully adjust to a practice, for something to fully resonate through that system. So, do you guys want to just do this one for 5 minutes? We can just do 5 minutes of Brahmari Pranayama. I do have other practices too for clearing. Yes, all right, let's do it. 5 minutes of Brahmari Pranayama. So, again, Brahmari Pranayama, if you have 5 minutes to do so, this does require both hands and it requires closing your eyes, ideally. If you don't want to close your eyes, remember that you can just cup your hands over your ears and do the practice this way. For Brahmari Pranayama, the traditional practice is done like so. Both hands, palms facing in, bring the pinkies to the corners of your mouth. Bring your ring fingers to the corners of the edges of your nostril. Remember, we are putting no more than the weight of a nickel. We're not creating pressure here. I'm not squeezing up my face or any of that shit. Just intention. Bring an intentional connection. Pinkies to the corner of your mouth. Ring fingers to the edges of your nose. Close your eyes and place your middle fingers on top of your eyelashes. Bring your pointer fingers to rest just below your eyebrows, just at the top of your eye sockets. Take a deep breath in, full big inhale. Close your ears and exhale with a steady hum. Exhale all the way to the end. Open your ears, take your thumbs out of your ears on the inhale, fill your lungs again. Close your ears and exhale. Exhale all the way. Open your ears to inhale. And exhale. Open your ears to inhale, fill your lungs, close your ears to exhale, and really work towards that steady, extended exhale. Inhale, 3 minutes down. We got 2 more minutes to go. Keep it up. Full inhale, close those ears for the exhale. Last minute. Go ahead and take your last inhale. And release your arms, release your hands on the exhale, at the end of your exhale. Placing them palms up or palms down in your lap, either way works. Just pause for a moment and feel what happens with 5 minutes of Bhramari Pranayama. As you sit in this space of being with the sensations created by the practice, I encourage you to note in your system where there might still be tension. If there's tension in your shoulders or in your jaw or in your low back, I invite you to adjust. Release the tension in your body as you allow the sensations created by the practice to dissipate, to integrate within your system. Yes, sometimes our practices create tension. It's important to let that tension go. Otherwise, we carry that tension on to the next thing and we go, where did we get that tension from? All right. So that was our Bhramari Pranayama. 5 minutes of Bhramari Pranayama. Before that, we were doing alternate nostril breathing, and we found that several of us had our left side was a little bit harder to breathe through. So I'd say, let's see, we practiced for 5 minutes plus a couple minutes before. So let's say maybe 10, 15 minutes ago, maybe 20, maybe, we were doing alternate nostril breathing. So after this practice of Bhramari, now let's go back to alternate nostril breathing and see where your system, look, Buttercup, you're already like, my left side is cleared. So let's go ahead and go back to our diagnostic pranayama, and we're gonna go do alternate nostril breathing to see where our sides are at, where our left and right sides are at. So again, Shanmukhi Mudra for alternate nostril breathing, or the reverse or the open Shanmukhi, where you place your hand here and you open and close each nostril. I'm going to do this way so it's easier for you guys to see. Alternate nostril breathing, take your right thumb and place it to the right nostril. Inhale through the left. Switch, placing your right ring finger on your left nostril. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. You can continue with that practice. It balances the system. It also helps us as a diagnostic to see which side is imbalanced, which side we are, well, not technically which side is imbalanced, but which side is our system is primarily operating on. So for example, a couple minutes, right, a little bit earlier, my left side, several of us had a left side block. My left side is still a little sticky, but it's a lot easier to breathe through. Yes, definitely a difference. So you can see the real-time effects of Brahmari Pranayama. It is a clearing breath. It is also extremely effective for clearing the mind. So as somebody who lives with anxiety and depression and sometimes obsessive thoughts and things like that, Brahmari Pranayama is the primary tool in my toolbox for dealing with those things. Hey, Eric, how are you? It's the primary tool in my toolbox. Yeah, Chris. Okay. You said yours is still harder. Your left side is still more difficult to breathe, but you're able to get more air. You were panicked before because it felt like you couldn't breathe on your left side. Yeah. A lot of times this can happen when we have a heavy imbalance, when our system shifts really hard to one side or the other, and that's really just about fluidity. That's about integrating both sides. Like I was saying before, your energy body has a breath to it, an inhale and an exhale, and that rotation happens about 45 minutes to an hour. I just realized I forgot a tool that I wanted to use today, so give me just 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna go grab it. Okay. So, the sound in your ears was so cool during the practice. Taking out your headphones help. Okay. Good. Yes. One of the most powerful tools in my toolbox for obsessive thoughts. Thank you, my friend, for obsessive thoughts. For I have that pattern in my brain where when I am in any situation, my brain is trying to keep me safe. So what does it do? It runs through every worst case scenario possible. I'm sure some folks can relate. An example is, when I was a kid and we go out boating, every single time we would go boating, I would imagine every single possible scenario of somebody falling off the boat, getting caught in the motor, getting caught in something else, like, hanging onto the side of the boat, getting caught between the boat and the dock when we were tying the boat up. Like, my brain would not leave me alone. Again, this manifests as something that feels obsessive or feels intrusive, feels negative and scary, right? It is your system trying to keep you safe. It is a radiator, yes. When we look at it this way, when we recognize that our systems are trying to keep us safe as a primary focal point, our systems are trying to keep us safe, then it stops being about my system attacking me or my brain being out to get me or my body attacking me or victimizing me. It is about aligning my system with the reality of the present moment. Enjoy your work, Eric. Have a good day. It is about aligning ourselves with the present moment, what is happening in the here and now. What's shaking bacon? How are you, Mullah Cookie? We are balancing our system. We're using alternate nostril breathing as a diagnostic, and we're using clearing practices like Brahmari breath to clear our system. And I was just talking about the way that Brahmari breath not only clears our energy body, but it can really help clear the head. So when we're talking about psychic attacks, right? Psychic attacks are one of these things I've been hearing a lot. It seems like a new buzzword, right? All over the socials. Psychic attack, psychic attack. Let me reassure you of one thing. No one can get into your system unless you let them. Can we unconsciously let people in? Yes. Do we unconsciously accept ties and hooks and all of these, energy exchanges and controlling and whatever things? Yes, we totally can unconsciously accept some of these things. But if you're not conscious of it, you can't do anything about it. So we bring our awareness to our energy system through things like alternate nostril breathing. Mullah Cookie, would you like another example of alternate nostril breathing? I think you've been in here for other. The words are not wording today. The words are not wording today, guys. The pirates on my pirate ship are arguing about what things we should say when and which tools we should offer when. I had to write notes because they were bickering all weekend about how we're going to present the clearing and protecting of our energy body. There's a time machine in Geneva. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, friend. Thank you, Regal. Chris, my question was just asking Mullah Cookie, because he just came in, if he wanted an example of alternate nostril breathing. So I'm going to give an example of alternate nostril breathing here really quick. Yes, I will. Hey, Derek, how are you? I will demonstrate it again. We will go through the two practices we just used. Calyptos, would you say psychic attacks don't bother me? What frustrates me are spiritual narcissists. I was actually joking just yesterday with my neighbor that I was like, I should make a whole series of spiritual narcissism, because there's a lot of your cognitive dissonance is so intense you just don't even realize what's going on, right? Or your energy, it's all because you're not manifesting enough, right? You're all like, there's all of these spiritually narcissistic like this, but that's more imbalance, right? That's more imbalance. So what I was saying was that your energy system is self-protecting. Your energy system is self-aligning, self-balancing. Your energy system is reordering, naturally reordering. Does it have to devolve into chaos so it can reorder itself? Yes. This is the inhale, exhale. This is the breath of this, right? This is the rhythm of our energy system. So all of us are going to experience imbalance. All of us are going to experience difficulties, stickiness, triggers, reactions. Semantics. Again, my pirates are really busy up on my ship this morning, and they're like chattering away about they're being really judgmental of other people. They're like pointing fingers at people right now. So I'm trying to redirect the energy to try to get to the foundation, like the basic of what the message is here. The journey of coming home to yourself is a journey of unraveling all of your imbalances, of all of your misconceptions about self, triggers. The system develops relatively unconsciously and with the help of all of these different people, all of these different situations as you're growing. Once you get into your mid to late 20s, here it is. You get it. Here's your vessel in all of its glory and all of its debauchery, right? All of the things that are broken about it and all of the things that are beautiful about it. It is your system now. It's like being handed the keys to your first car, to your vessel in your mid-20s. your level of awareness of your energy system, I have found to be an imperative piece directly linked to your ability to balance and align and protect your system. If you're not aware of the imbalances that are causing the patterns to keep patterning in your life, the patterns will keep patterning. That's the idea how we say, you keep manifesting the thing in your life, or the universe is going to bring it to you until you resolve it. That is what these things are. Patterns are ways for us to see what is out of balance, what is consistently out of balance. And as you do this work, you're going to find layers and layers and layers of these things. Right? I might find one pattern, and as soon as I heal through that pattern and figure out what it is and realign myself and strengthen my system so that I don't have to do that pattern again and again, what am I going to find underneath it but another pattern? This is the process of being human. As far as I have come to understand in my exploration of energy, spirituality, psychology, philosophy, all together. The whole point here is to be doing this realignment work. And Mullah Cookie, yes, that's one way to approach it, right? If you're always thinking negatively in worst case scenarios, that's what you're going to attract. We can go even deeper because the body remembers worst case scenarios. The body remembers traumatic events, and that's why it can influence the brain to try to think about those things. That is why the body reacts anxiously or defensively at the smallest inclination of something that might be similar to what happened a long time ago. Our system is developed based on what it experiences. And if the experiences that it had were pulling it out of balance, then it's going to learn those patterns of imbalance. Derek, does astrology correlate to karmic events? Astrology is a really great lens to look through, to look at your life through, to look at the energies available in your life, to look at your strengths and potential challenges in your life. Can it correlate to karma? Yes, you can definitely understand your karma and dharma and past life stuff through deeper exploration of astrology, yes. Friend, user 2638860473795. It's actually your reticular activation system, aka your selective focus. Those patterns are created by you. The patterns are created by the synapses, by the familiarity of your system. Yes, they're created by you based on the stimuli that your system responds to. Based on the stimuli that your system responds to. Mullah Cookie. Yes, the memories from even from decades, right? Of something traumatic happening or something difficult happening, our body remembers these things. Derek, I would say that is that's a really simple, not simple, that's a connection that is much more complex. You said that love has been hard for you. You don't know if it's because your moon is in Cancer. So yes, sorry, I read that as your mom is in Cancer. I was like, wait, that's a stretch. Hold on. But we can talk about astrology another time. We can absolutely talk about astrology in depth. Yeah. Right now we're talking about clearing and aligning our energy system, right? And we can, and again, Derek, if you come into the Discord, we can talk outside of the lives about astrology at length. Regal Poison, you say, anytime you go to worst case, you then force to also think of best case. It is good to balance. Yeah, it is good to balance if you notice yourself thinking about really negative worst case scenario to also remember positive. Lifer, if you drink 2 5-hour energies, how many energies is that? Not, it's finite energy. It's not, it's false energy is what it is. Doesn't matter exponentially, it's exponentially false energy. Ryan, Calyptos, thank you. Yes, negative energy flows up as from Mother Earth, just like negative energy flows down. We are a system of negative and positive energy. We are a system of light and dark, of solar and lunar energies. Yes, user 2638860473795. I'm recognizing it was a joke that I was joking with along with. Because it is. It's false energy. Sure, it gives your body a boost, but... Lexus, protecting oneself against crowd energy. Okay, so the best protection for your system is to align your system, is to fortify your system. No, you weren't. You were kind of have an ego and you're out. Okay. See you later, friend. I do find 5-hour energy drinks funny, and I had a chuckle. Yep. It's false energy. The person is filling their pop next to you at the gas station. You had an epiphany. They just stared at you wide-eyed. Okay, so the most powerful thing that you can do for your system, again, is to balance your system, is to align your system, is to fortify your system. So, alternate nostril breathing is one of my favorite diagnostics. Diagnostics for your system show where those imbalances are. Alternate nostril breathing is a simple practice of going between inhaling and exhaling on one side and then the other, and then one side and then the other. Typically, the traditional practice is done with the Shanmukhi Mudra, which is just dropping the first 2 fingers, leaving your thumb and your ring and pinky extended. So we practice beginning with the right nostril, close the right nostril, inhale through the left. Switch, closing the left nostril with the right ring finger, exhaling through the right nostril. Inhale through the right nostril. Switch, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. You can continue that practice as long as you would like to. 1, it is balancing for the entire system. 2, it is diagnostic for the system. So if you are doing that and you notice that one side, Derek, your fingers can't do that. That's okay. Let me show you a variation here. The other mudra that you can use is keeping your pointer and your middle finger extended. Place that at your third eye. And then use your thumb and your ring finger to close the nostrils this way. Alternately, you can do it with your left hand. Further, you can do it with no hands. We can do it with no hands by just focusing intentionally, bringing the breath in through one nostril and out through the other. In through that nostril and out through the other. Again, when you're doing it with just intention, obviously you're still going to have air coming through in and out of each nostril, but the intention of paying attention to each side, the practice of paying attention to each side is going to help you feel into those imbalances. June, hey June. You say, our body builds up energy from the sun, moon, sea, negative and positive. We become the human must experience the nature of earth. That is it. We are a vessel for all of that energy. We are vessels for that push and pull, the ebb and flow. Our systems run on the very cycles of positive and negative, of chaos and order, of wake and sleep, of hungry and satiated, of thirsty and, you know what I mean? We are constantly moving through those cycles. That's why alternate nostril breathing is my favorite foundational pranayama, because it echoes that ebb and flow. How do I do that? How do we do the brick house? How do we do the diagnostic breathing again? Okay, alternate nostril breathing. I'm going to offer it one more time, and then we're going to move on to the clearing practice that we did earlier. Alternate nostril breathing. Using the Shanmukhi Mudra like so, which is using your right hand, dropping your pointer and your middle finger down into your palm, using your right thumb on your right nostril, right ring finger on your left nostril to close the nostrils back and forth. Alternately, if that doesn't work for you, instead extend your pointer and your middle and place it at your third eye, using your thumb and your ring finger to close alternately the nostrils. Okay? The rhythm we use for this is closing the right first. Inhale through the left, switch, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, switch, exhale through the left. Notice that we only switch after the inhale. Inhale, switch, exhale. Inhale, switch, exhale. Okay, sorry, you mean how can you tell that there's an imbalance? So when you're doing that practice, notice which side is more sticky, closed. You may notice physical congestion. It may be more difficult to breathe, or you may feel like you're trying to catch your breath on one side or the other. So in that way, alternate nostril breathing can be really good for finding imbalance, because you'll notice that one side, inhale or exhale, may be a little bit more difficult than the other side. That's going to indicate where the imbalance is. Yes, thank you, Calypstos. Also pay attention to what you feel in your torso or in your gut. Pay attention to what you feel anywhere in your body. When we are breathing, the breath reaches through our entire system. So it's important to pay attention to anything that comes up. And usually anything that comes up is something ready to be released. If it's that loose that while you're breathing, it starts to wiggle around in your gut, let that shit go. So what does it mean if one side is more imbalanced than the other? It just means that the flow of energy is stronger or more full on the one side that's not as difficult. It means that the side that's difficult has restrictions or blockages within it. Regal, can I explain why the hand position is important, or is it just traditional? It is. Let's think about that for a second, because this is just. So Marie, we're going to do a clearing practice in just a second. We'll do a clearing practice for once you find the imbalance, how do we clear the imbalance, or how do we realign the system? So the hand position. So mudras work by redirecting the energy channels in the body. I've actually never examined the energy of the Shanmukhi mudra. So give me a second here, because we can walk through this together. The energy channels, the mudras work by redirecting the energy channels in the body. Each finger represents a channel of a different energy. The thumb is fire, the pointer, the index is air, the middle is spirit or ether, the ring is earth, and the pinky is water. So in that way, we're tucking in the energy, the air and the spirit energy. So air is associated with the mind, with thought, with quick energy, high metabolism kind of stuff, right? Racing thoughts, anxiety. These things can be created, aggression, irritation, agitation, right? Air, imagine a really windy day. If you have a lot of air through your system, it feels like that kind of constant chaos of a windy day. So turning in the air into the body can help balance air in the body. So what this first and foremost is doing is turning that channel inward so it can cycle in and clear out the system rather than be causing chaos as an external thing. It's okay, we'll get to that. The second finger being spirit, turning the inner eye, turning the self inward. So my guess, my immediate assumption here is that the Shanmukhi mudra offers calming. It's calming to the air element and the ether or spirit element in the body. I don't know, because I think that the traditional use of these two, we're talking about fire and earth. Fire on the right side, earth, which is the feminine energy on the left side. So I would assume that's if we break it down like that, it would make sense why that's the traditional thing here. Earth and water. Water is the element of movement. Water is the element of the womb. Water is the element also of, right, flow, energy flow, movement. So inviting movement and grounding and clarity with that comes with strengthening, even that comes with fire. So that practice can be done. Alternate nostril breathing. Thank you for asking about the mudra, because now we got to take that apart. Same thing. If you use it this way, putting these two towards your third eye, I would say it's probably not as calming to these energies as this is, because these are tucking him in. This is bringing him inward. Yes, this is bringing it into the third eye. Now you're gonna send me off to sit in an experiment. I'm gonna sit going through those and find out which one, what it does for the mind. Thank you. Okay, I have homework now. This is how we learn and grow together. This is how we thrive together, right? And it's from sharing this stuff with you guys that I get to understand and explore it deeper. You're very welcome, Regal. I like I said, I love sharing the information, and honestly, despite, I spent 20 plus years in the field of human development and wellness, studying, getting certifications in college, as well as other workshops and things like that, and working in the field and exploring these things. I did it all because I wanted healing and I wanted alignment. And now what it affords me is this really fucking big toolbox that I can give to you guys. And I've tried over the years charging for information, and it always felt wrong. It always, and I'm not saying that anybody who charges for information sharing is wrong. I'm not at all. I'm saying I personally felt like I was fighting an uphill battle every single time I tried to sell the information. So I'm following my truth, following my authentic whatever, guide, and sharing it, because I think it should be available to everybody. I think the biggest misdirection is to turn us away from the very dynamic, accessible system that we have right here. You can heal, align, balance, protect, fortify, strengthen, like all of the things happen here within. And yet we live in a culture that teaches us to look outside of us for absolutely everything. For knowledge, for understanding, for wisdom, for healing, for treatment, for love, for God, for everything, when all of that exists inside of us. So, yeah, I do charge for one-on-one time with me. I do charge for my time. That's what I charge for. I don't charge for the information. So during these lives, remember guys, I am live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. So feel free to follow the account, look for content. I do try to post a lot of content. Note that I do also offer memberships. I want to make a side note here. I do also offer memberships. If you are a member at any level of membership, you can get a membership here on TikTok or on my Patreon page, which you can find in the link in my bio. Any level of membership makes you a priority for making content. I make personalized content. If you go on any of my videos and you make a request, hey, can you show me this mudra, that mudra, this energy thing, this practice, I want to know about this, help me with that, I will happily make content for you. I prioritize my members for that because it takes my time to stop and make the video and do the explanation. If we are in a live, anybody and everybody, you guys can ask questions and I will go ahead and share the answers, or the information with you. But as far as getting a priority content made, something that you can download and keep for yourself, that is for members. So if you want a membership, if you want to be able to, you want personalized content made for you, you can either get a membership here on TikTok or you can go to my Patreon page. Note that the prices on Patreon will never change. The prices on TikTok will have to change because TikTok only gives me up to 50%. Right now, I think I'm only getting like 30% of what you guys give me through gifts and memberships and stuff on TikTok. So ideally, if you can go to the Patreon page and grab a membership there, you're going to get more benefit, more bang for your buck. So anyway, all of that said, let's move on to the practice of clearing our energy system. So we just talked about balancing our energy system, yes, and using the diagnostic. Please note that alternate nostril breathing can be used to clear your system as well. In fact, alternate nostril breathing can also be used to fortify and protect your system. I brought these tools in because I'll make the quick note here about it, and then we'll move on. If you have a string of beads, if you have a mala or prayer beads or just a long necklace, these are really, really good for counting your breaths, for doing a pranayama practice without having to have a timer, without having to check the clock, without having to count your breaths. Could you do the practice lying down? Yes. Is it okay if you do it again if you just did it? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Chris, you can do Brahmari again. Okay, so I want to note, though, that a mala will have 108 beads. Why is that important? There's a whole numerology rabbit hole that we could go way down into the number 9 and 108 and the seed of life and the flower and the tree and all the things, right? Well, I'm not doing that here. I'm not doing that right now. That's a lot of numbers and not as much my language. Energy is my language. All those numbers and stuff are really cool and I see the connections, but I don't speak it fluently. So, malas have 108 beads. When we use a mala for our breathwork practice, 9 has always been your favorite number. Yeah, it's my birthday. It's one of my numbers. Okay, so let me give you a quick. Can we go through a quick tutorial on the mala, because it's a really, really great tool. If you have one, then it's a quick one that you can use for your pranayama practice. If you would like to use alternate nostril breathing as a protective practice, as a fortifying practice for your system, this is considered one of the best ways to do it. It's, okay. First and foremost, we just talked about the energy in all the channels in the fingers. That energy of air is an energy that invites change and chaos and quick thinking and whatnot. So we don't want to touch our mala with the air finger. Keep your pointer finger as best you can off your mala. We begin our practice with the mala at what's considered the guru bead. Okay? Your mala should always have this separate bead. Here are 108 beads, and then the guru. So we're not even counting the guru bead. You always start from your guru. Remember, the term guru just means that which leads you from darkness to light. You are your guru. Can you have gurus outside of yourself that are supportive and learn that you can learn things from and that offer you great practices and great wisdom? Yes, absolutely. But when it comes down to it, it comes to the guru inside of you that makes the actual things happen, okay? So we're honoring the guru within right now, and we are using our mala for this practice. So if you're using it for alternate nostril breathing, place your mala on your left hand. Ideally, traditionally, we also don't want it to touch the ground. So if you can put it, sometimes you can put it in a bag. Sometimes you can just put it here in your lap. I find that if I'm sitting on a chair and things like that, it is fine for me to put it in my lap or put it on the chair, just not on the ground. Why? The ground discharges energy. And with a mala, particularly one with stones especially, or even seeds and whatnot, I am cultivating a certain type of energy within my mala. This is a spiritual tool for me. This is a tool that I use to balance my energy body. So I also need to make sure that this is a quality energy in this thing. So because of that, I pay attention to where I get it from, or I make it myself. I don't share my mala with other people unless I am really feeling good about their energy. And there are some malas I simply don't let anybody else touch, period. That's this mala here. This one's mine. Nobody touches it. This one I like to share. Feral Farm, you asked, good place to get a mala. I don't have a specific place to refer you to. I do make personalized malas, and if you want to reach out to me, we can talk about it. I would highly suggest, if you're new to them, finding a place where they are made traditionally, where they are made with intention infused into them, with positive energy, with somebody who knows what they're doing. There are a lot of shops I've seen online that offer some really cool looking ones, really awesome beads and really cool patterns. I personally don't know the people and don't know the business, so I'm not really going to buy from them. I have bought my malas from people in person, but these two I have made myself. So if you're worried about the energy that you're getting from somebody else, then go ahead and make it yourself, or find a spot that feels good to get it from. That said, if you have any mala at all and you've been touching it with your pointer finger and you've been throwing it on the ground and you've been doing all your other things to it, remember that you can also clear and charge your beads, your mala itself. Things like putting it out in the full moon, things like using it over and over and over again and infusing it with your energy. These are things that are going to clear and balance your mala. Right? So just because you have one from I don't know where with I don't know what kind of energy doesn't mean that it's not going to be helpful. And I encourage you to use the tool, right? Because it can be really helpful for you. But be intentional about your energy. So when we practice alternate nostril breathing as a fortifying, protective practice, using the mala and going all the way around is the way to do that. Remember, it's 108 beads, and when you're counting these, we go like so. That first inhale through the left, close your right nostril, inhale through the left, pull one bead, or you can hold the bead. Inhale, exhale through the right, and pull your next bead. Inhale through the right, and pull your next bead. Exhale through the left and pull your next bead. So each inhale, each exhale, I pull a bead. Note that this one here has spacers in between it, and that helps me feel between the beads, feel where they are. So you're not counting your spacers, you're counting the beads, or depending on your mala, what you have, right? If you do that at about this pace, you'll find that this practice is going to take you about 20 minutes. That is a fantastic pranayama practice. If you can just set yourself up for like a week or 10 days or something like that and do that practice every day for even just a couple of days, you're going to notice a significant difference in your system, in your respiratory system, in your energy system, in the clarity of your mind, in the centeredness of your of everything. This is a really, really good fortifying, protecting practice. But again, it takes about 20 minutes to get all the way around the mala when you're going at a steady pace. Hold on, I've got to plug in the computer here. Okay. Okay. If you are looking for a quicker practice to clear your system, to balance your energy, Brahmari breath is one of my favorites. I like Brahmari breath a lot because when I'm doing the practice, what I have found is that it feels like it shakes up your system. Like it shakes loose any kind of debris, anything that's kind of stuck or rigid, anything that's ready to be let go of. This Brahmari practice is also really, really good for racing thoughts, busy mind, negative self-talk. Again, we talked a little bit about psychic attacks, right? It seems to be a buzzword these days. Psychic attacks, if you feel like you are being attacked psychically, feel free to use this one. Again, I want to remind you all that when your system is fortified and aligned, your system resonates at a frequency that these lower energies of attacks and energy pulls and energy vampires and stuff like that, they can't reach you, my friend. Are there powerful forces of negative energy that can still access you even when you are in a blissful state of perfection? Yes. But when you are in alignment and balanced, those things do not stick to you. When your system is fortified with that universal life force, it is open as well as balanced. Not from a vulnerable place, but from a place of strength, from a place of acceptance, from a place of fluidity. So instead of somebody's negative whatnot energy sticking to me, it flows directly through me. I do not need to accept every single gift of energy or words or intention that everybody throws at me. Learning to keep my system fluid and open allows those things to roll through me or roll over me without getting stuck on other things that are stuck in my system. If my system is stuck and rigid around my solar plexus because I feel like I don't have a very good self-esteem, I don't feel very good about myself, or I don't feel very powerful, I don't feel very able to interact with the world, right? I feel very shameful, things like that can occur in here. If this is imbalanced, this is like a little black hole pulling in energy to try to satisfy it. And by doing so, I acquire a lot of negative energy or even karmic energy or pull in from finite sources that are not intended to support this system. So in that way, I open up my system to receive a lot of other people's junk, whether it's people or things or substances or food or whatnot, right? This will cause me to receive more of that stuff that I might need to be protected from. So the most powerful way that you can protect and clear your energy body is by working to align it, is by working to balance, is by working to, thank you, Benjamin, create non-resistance, not tension. Remember, when in this space, right, we are learning mindfulness techniques, meditation, mudras, mantras, tools, energy, all this other stuff. But these are all a matter of your awareness, your intention, and your attention. If not, I am not aware of what my intentions even are, I'm probably operating with some pretty unconscious programming, reactionary, unconscious stuff. There's no need for shame or judgment around that, but accepting that and recognizing that gives me the ability to then become aware of what's happening, to align my intention with my true hopes and desires and needs for a situation, right? If I'm engaging in an intimate relationship, my intention hopefully is something like, fostering a supportive relationship for both me and my partner that's creates some kind of longevity and security, or, sense of, I don't know, whatever my goals are for my relationship. If I'm not aware of that intention, or if I'm aware of that intention, that means I can align my attention with it rather than getting distracted by these other unconscious goals, which are making me feel good about myself, making me feel loved, helping me feel more confident or more beautiful by having the attention of somebody else. These are where we exacerbate our imbalances. And if I'm unconscious of the fact that my system is trying to satisfy a lack of self-confidence by bringing in arrogant, really, really overly confident, controlling people, guess what? That pattern is going to keep patterning in my life. And I'm going to keep saying, I don't know how I got here. My intention was to fall in love and have a perfect marriage for the rest of my life. But what I was unconscious of was the intention of the rest of my system. My system has a totally different intention. My system needs to satisfy a lack of nourishment from childhood, and a lack of autonomy from mid-childhood, and a fear of rejection from my teenage years, and all of these other things that become part of the way that my system operates to keep you safe. Not to hurt you, not to attack you, not because it's anybody's fault. Your system becomes the way it is, settles the way that it is, because it thinks it's the best way to keep you safe. And when we honor that this magnificent meat bag, this magnificent energy system did all of that work to keep me safe, then I can be grateful for my imbalances. Thank you. Thank you for throwing me totally off balance so that I could protect myself from this particular threat. But guess what? I'm about to be 40, and the threat of, getting backhanded for asking for more cake or something like that, like those silly little things that happened as children, I'm no longer in that situation. So it's no longer appropriate for my system to respond as if I am in that situation. Again, when you see the 50-year-old woman in Starbucks throwing a tantrum over the fact that she got the wrong milk, you can recognize that this is an imbalance rooted in a younger version of herself. How do you know that? Because she's acting like a fucking toddler. And when the people we love and care about, the adults that we know, revert into these really terrible, not terrible, let's change the judgment into just recognition, really young and immature ways. These are rooted in those ages. If you are not aware of that imbalance is going to keep patterning in your life until you become aware of it. Benjamin, people get stuck at the age of their trauma if undealt with. Yes, right? Some parts of ourselves do. I don't know how to say your name there. You said, oh yes, this is my father, toddler for sure. Yes, and, right? We can recognize that our caregivers, our culture, our teachers, or even our gurus, oftentimes are operating from their own place of imbalance. Remember that just because somebody is a teacher does not mean that they're perfect or they're healed completely. In fact, I have never met a person who's completely healed. But this is a gift, because we each lift the next generation up as we do our work, as we push forward and do our healing. The next generation gets to build upon that further, gets to undo more and more and more. And I can only do what I can do in my lifetime. Some of us work intentionally on it for our entire lives. Some of us never work intentionally on it. But there is a gift, there is a lesson, there is an experience available in being conscious or unconscious, being rigid or flexible, becoming enlightened or be devolving into some kind of totally narrow-minded box. Again, I say these things without judgment, because I'm not talking about them from a place of guilt or shame. I'm talking about them from a place of just different kinds of experiences. My parents, just like yours, were having their unique experience, to some degree consciously, to some degree unconsciously. And honestly, at this point, I like to look back and feel compassion for them, because I know that their parents only gave them so many tools, and they were doing the best that they could with what they had. Was it scary for me? Yeah. Was it violent? Yeah. Was it life-threatening? Yeah. Did it result in imbalances in my system that I am still working with? Absolutely. But without those early experiences to throw me out of balance, I would never have the opportunity to learn balance. If I'm going to come home to myself, if I'm going to learn to love myself, I have to forget how to love myself. If I'm going to come home to myself and go on go on this epic journey, I have to leave home first. And I would never shame or guilt someone for not taking this path, not doing this work of looking at yourself, because honestly, it takes a bit of courage. And there can be some really scary, some really difficult things. We talk, again, another buzzword in the world today is shadow work. Everybody wants to talk about doing their shadow work. That sounds like a car being dragged across the dirt road. Sorry, guys. Crusty toaster. Nah, love everyone besides yourself. So I used to operate from this same perspective. And actually, there was a quote that really got me many years ago, right? Really got me. Because the quote said, ultimately, every act should be a selfish one. And love everybody besides yourself, right? My martyr self said, absolutely not. That's awful. We are absolutely supposed to be taking care of everybody else, loving everybody else, right? I am just a vessel for God's love. I'm just supposed to give away everything that I have, all of my resources, all of my time and attention and love. And it took me several years of sitting with this concept and playing semantics with it to find the wisdom in it. The wisdom in it came when I shifted the word from selfish to self-centered. Self-centered is talking about authenticity. Because authenticity is the recognition of value in myself and in other. Is the ability to love myself and other from a place of non-judgment, from a place of acceptance that there is value in you. You are beautiful and lovable and spectacular as you are. But that does not mean that I need to sacrifice myself at your feet for your benefit. In fact, how does that benefit you? Except to give you a finite resource from my energy. When this system is not meant to be filled with finite resources, it's meant to be filled with an infinite resource, with the infinite resource that flows through everything in the universe. And when I cut off my life force, or cut off my, connection to that so that you and I can grope over finite resource, each other's energy, that's what codependent relationships look like. That's what narcissism looks like. That's what, intimacy addiction. That's what food addiction looks like. That's what imbalance looks like. Regal, place the oxygen max on yourself before assisting others. Yes. In fact, we do each other a great disservice when we say, I see you carrying something heavy, and obviously you can't carry that, so let me carry it for you. We actually support each other quite well when we say, I see you, I love you, and I see that that's fucking heavy, and I can walk with you as you carry that. We can talk about this together, but it's not my responsibility to carry your weight. Because in doing so, not only do I tell you you can't do it by yourself, but I confirm that all of that weight is there. Instead of seeing you as someone who is strong and capable enough to move through this stuff on your own. And in fact, I'm going to honor that so well, that I'm going to honor that so completely, that I'm going to hold space for you and bear witness to this magnificent feat of you doing your healing. We live in a world that says, go look outside for all of your healing. And yet it leads you directly away from your healing. I hear you, Crusty Toaster. You are in a space where you feel it is more valuable to love others above yourself. I understand. I've been in that space too. And it was when I came out of that space and learned to love myself as much as I love others that I started really finding the depths of healing available. It was not in sacrificing myself for others, because that's not self-love. Does self-love, does authenticity also look like sometimes doing things that don't benefit me for others? Yeah, absolutely. But is there not something self-centered in that where I say, I benefit from holding space for you, from doing something that's not enjoyable to me? Maybe it's my kid wants me to play video games with him, and I'm like, I fucking don't want to play this stupid game, but I can set aside my judgment of the game because I know it makes him feel good for us to do this thing together. That's still me being authentic while I'm doing something that I don't particularly like. But is it loving myself and him? Yes, because I'm choosing to do it in a way that isn't detrimental to me. I'm not going to choose to do something for somebody else that's detrimental to me. But we live in a culture that says martyr yourself, that says throw yourself at the feet of the guru or the higher or the whoever, right? Subject yourself to self-torture and and yeah. That is imbalance. It is imbalance. Benjamin, that's a nice way to say it. To love others is to love yourself. Is to love yourself. Okay. Thank you, moderator, for managing this space. Krusty Toaster, you've got 5 minutes of being muted. And that is so that we can all share this space together. We can have discussions and both agree to disagree. Yes. So Mullet Cookie, let's keep Krusty Toaster unmuted next time they come back in, okay? If they decide to come back in. You are always welcome to come back into a space, but if you are taking up a lot of the space so that there's not space for others, then a lot of times we will ask you to be muted or mute you for a little bit, okay? Thank you. Thank you, guys. So, we got on a total tangent, didn't we? Brahmari breath. Brahmari breath is what we were practicing earlier to help clear the system. Clearing the system, again, like I said, this practice, you can do a 20-minute practice with your mala to do alternate nostril breathing, using your mala to count those breaths. That, in and of itself, if you do that full practice, you are fortifying your system, clearing and protecting your system. Alternate nostril breathing all by itself is a really powerful practice. If you want a quicker practice to clear the system, if you want a quicker practice to align the system, Brahmari breath is my favorite, the one I recommend, because it feels like it creates a vibration within the system, a lot like Om, actually. I'll go ahead and make a note of that there. The sound Om, the resonance of Om, is aligning you with the universal resonance, kind of like the hum of Brahmari breath. It's a very similar practice, and it's intended to literally create frequency in the body and through the energy body, through the system, to help clear away blockages, to help shake things loose, to help realign the system. I like to think of it, I always see like a vibrating plate, right, when I'm doing Brahmari breath, and I'm able to see these kinds of bits of debris sort of shaking off. Because of that, please note, it's really important to drink plenty of water, particularly after Brahmari breath. Not all pranayama, I mean, all practices drink lots of water, right? Everybody drink water. But Brahmari practice or Bhastrika practice or some of these more intense pranayamas, I encourage you to drink water after the practice. So Brahmari practice, there's a couple of ways to do your hands here. If the sensory deprivation piece of it is too much for you, you can just place your hands over your ears. You can just cup them over your ears. Ideally, we want to do this practice without headphones in. The practice is simply inhaling a full breath And then when you exhale with a hum. For our hands, bring your palms facing in. Touch the pinkies, the tips of your pinkies to the corners of your mouth. Remember, we are making this connection with intention, not creating tension. So we say no more than the weight of a nickel. We don't want to press, you don't want to press into your face no more than the weight of a nickel, which is really just making contact with intention. Pinkies to the corners of your mouth. Ring fingers to the edges of your nostrils. Middle fingers. Close your eyes and place your middle fingers over your eyelashes. Pointer fingers at the base, underneath, just underneath your eyebrows and just at the top of your eye sockets. Take a big, deep breath in. Fill your lungs completely. Expand your ribcage in all directions, front, sides, and back. And then plug your ears and exhale with a hum, like so. Release your thumbs from your ears on the inhale. Close them back up as you exhale. Open your ears and inhale. Close your ears and exhale. Go ahead and release the practice. When you release the practice, go ahead and keep your eyes closed and just spend a few moments letting whatever sensations were created by the practice, letting them integrate into your system. This is one of those practices that you will feel something. You're creating buzzing in your head, you're creating that buzzing in your system. Ideally, when you are finding the rhythm of inhales and exhales, you want to make sure you take a full deep breath in, but as you exhale, try to keep that hum as steady as you can keep it. When you start noticing the hum wavering, release your exhale and inhale again. Over time, as you practice, ideally you want to be extending that exhale to a nice, long, steady exhale. Inhale, full deep breath, long, steady exhale. Remember, it's really important to open your ears when you inhale, close them when you exhale. Open the ears when you inhale, close them when you exhale. So like I said in the beginning, you can do the sensory deprivation piece of it here and place your fingers on the sides of your mouth, sides of your nose, over your eyelashes, and just under your eyebrow. And then you use your thumbs to open and close your ears. Or if this is too much on your face, you can also just cover your ears like this. There actually is a reason for this, but it's not coming to mind right now, so I will look that one up again too. Homework. And you ask, what are the benefits of this? Brahmari breath benefits the entire system. It balances the entire system. Brahmari breath clears the system. Brahmari breath can help calm the mind, especially in the case of anxiety or busy thoughts, racing thoughts, particularly obsessive thoughts. If you're trying to sit in meditation and your brain will not calm down, try a couple of rounds of Brahmari breath and then try to go back to meditation. If you are about to have a conversation that's really difficult conversation and you want to get your thoughts collected, Brahmari breath can be really, really powerful for that. If you find that you are feeling imbalanced on one side or the other, if it's difficult to breathe, if you're having respiratory issues, Brahmari breath can help clear those too. Chris, if you just cover your ears, do you open and close with your breath? You just cover your ears, and again, inhale completely, and then exhale with the mouth closed through the nose. Inhale completely through the nose, and exhale completely with the hum. So the only difference really is just that you're holding your hands over your ears versus closing them directly with your thumbs. The practice is going to be more intense if you can close them with your thumbs. This is one that I have seen people use in terms of if they feel like they are receiving psychic attacks. I want to make a comment there to note, again, no one can access your energy field unless you consciously or unconsciously allow them to do so. That means that honestly most of us have a weakened energy system. Imagine it like your immune system. Your energy system like your immune system. If you have a weakened immune system, viruses can come in and catch on a lot quicker, a lot easier, versus if you have a fortified, really strong immune system, those things just pass on through without causing any chaos. You like the first way, but you do hold your ears like that when you feel overwhelmed. Yeah, so part of that, again, is just that sensory sort of thing. I actually have earplugs that I carry around. I keep with me all the time because for me, with anxiety, sound, a lot of sound is really, really, really intensified. Like, it can make me go really quick to anger. It can make me go really quick to anxiety. Yeah, sound, I'm sound sensitive. Me too, the loops, yep. I was gonna reach out to loop earplugs and be like, hey, can I like rep for you guys? Because I don't. You guys see, I don't really have products that I support or share or, yeah, except for things that I really, really, really actually use or really love. Yep, ASOL. A lot of us used to wear our earbuds all the time, right? Okay, so Ems, you asked, can I show us again exactly how to do it? Brahmari breath. Brahmari breath, also known as bumblebee or hummingbee breath, is done like so. The traditional method of doing it is like so. Bring the tips of your pinkies to the corners of your mouth. Remember, no more than the weight of a nickel. I'm not squeezing into my face. I'm not doing this kind of stuff. No more than the weight of a nickel. This is just intentional contact. Corners, fingers to the corner, pinkies to the corner of your mouth. Ring fingers to the edges of your nostrils, just to the outside of your nose. Middle fingers, close your eyes and place your middle fingers over your eyelashes. Then place your index fingers just below your eyebrow and at the top of your eye socket. This is, again, be careful. We're not putting too much pressure. You're not squeezing your eyes. None of that. Not closing your nose. Just making this connection. Go ahead and bend the fingers just a little bit because you're going to need to use your thumbs in your ears. So open your ears. Take a big deep breath in. Fully inhale. Fill your lungs completely. And then close your ears and hum for the duration of your exhale. When the exhale is over, open your ears and inhale completely. Close them back up to exhale. Making sure that after you finish your practice, you always pause to allow the vibration to integrate. ASOL, you literally have to wear your earbuds all the time. I thought you said you literally just wear your earbuds all the time. Or maybe you did. The reason I don't like using my earbuds all the time is because they have the Bluetooth capacity. So I really love the loop earring or the loop earbuds because there's nothing but the earbud. You're very welcome. Leah Seeking. What are you seeking, my friend? Leah Seeking says, don't mess with this stuff, y'all. God bless. Aligning your energy, caring for your energy body, opens up your system so that you can receive prana, life force, so you can receive God, so you can receive Christ consciousness, so you can receive Allah or higher power. Divinity exists within you and all around you. You are not separate from it. Eban, you keep smashing your eyeballs. So, part of this practice, remember too, is to keep your attention on your intention. So if your intention for doing Brahmari breath is to quiet a busy mind, then set that intention. Happy Monday, Zach. Set that intention. I'm going to use Brahmari to quiet my mind. And then I'm going to bring my attention back to that practice again and again and again and again. Oh my God, your left side is easier than the right now. Chris, we've been here for at least an hour. We've been live for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Yes, sir. Good morning. Stop. No, right now is not the time for negotiation, for 1. 2, it's Monday, which is my work day right now. 3, you know what you can do when you get up. You can have breakfast, you can listen to your stories, and you can start on some chores. Now is not the time to come in for negotiation. I need you to back up because you can get easily on screen on accident with the mirror right there. Okay? Te amo todo tiempo. Okay. I'll be in a little bit. You can breathe normal from both. Good. So, Chris, your left side was sticky earlier, and then when we did the Nadi Shodhana, right? We did a 5-minute round of Brahmari breath a good bit earlier, and still the left side was a little bit sticky. But you just did another round of the Brahmari, and ta-da! So that's why I like to share these with you guys right here, right now, so we can practice them, so you can actually see the benefit. Right? This isn't some woo-woo, just kind of metaphorical stuff. This is these are the tools to affect real shifts in your system. You're very welcome, Chris. So as I was talking earlier, your energy system, your whole system has a kind of breath, right? The fluid that flows through your spinal cord has a kind of rhythm that is different than your heartbeat. I encourage you, as you explore mindfulness practices, to listen for these rhythms. Your energy body has a rhythm that rotates at about 45 minutes to an hour. So if you've been sitting with me for the 2 hours and 22 minutes that we have been going on here, then your system has already shifted left and right. Twice, right? It is a dynamic system. It is an ever-shifting system, which is why I always encourage you, if you feel stuck now, give it an hour. Do some practices and give it an hour. Which also means that you are never completely stuck. You are never so out of alignment that you're beyond repair. You're never so broken or closed off that you can't reconnect. Let go of any of those absolutes that tell you that you can't heal, because you can. And these practices are really, again, tangibly effective, right? So, like I said, I made some notes today because I wanted to make sure we had lots of different options for clearing, protecting, and working with the system. So we're going to, all we've talked about so far and practiced is alternate nostril breathing and Brahmari. Mullah Cookie, I want to echo that back for everybody too. In case no one said this yet, you all are gorgeous beings and I love you. Thanks, Mullah Cookie. I love you too. All of you, I echo that as well. Okay, so we have only worked with alternate nostril breathing and Brahmari breath for clearing and aligning the body. Another really good breath. Remember, we're going to talk about breath. Okay, so let me give a quick overview really quick, guys. This week, we are talking about clearing and protecting the energy body. Instead of offering just a mudra this week, I'm going to move through 3 different sections of how we're clearing and protecting the energy body. Breath, body, and being. So we do 3 sessions of Bhakti Bites during the week. Monday, today, is all about breath work. We're going to talk about breath work, and we're going to talk a little bit about mantras, too. We haven't even gotten there yet. Wednesday is going to be body. So we're going to talk about movements, mudras, other things that we can do for our physical body, with our physical body, to help clear and protect. And then being on Saturday. So we're going to talk about visualizations, meditations, intentions. We're going to practice my favorite meditation for clearing and protecting the body on Saturday. So today, as we continue to go over pranayama, there's several different types of pranayama: cooling breaths, warming breaths, centering breaths, box breaths, alternating breaths, bellows breath, skull shining breath, right? There's a whole bunch of different ways to breathe and a whole lot more on top of it. If you get really deep into breathwork practices, you can find some really intense practices that are meant to fortify and protect the system, as well as clear the system. Please note, yes, you can jump right now to the really intense practices. I encourage you, again, to make space for the gentle practices as well. The ones that you can do in the moment, not the ones that you need 45 minutes to go have a psychotropic meltdown and do. Yes, those have a time and a place, but learn the tools that are the moment in my moment, little ways that we can make little adjustments. Again, if I'm about to go into the grocery store and I've got anxiety rolling through me, I might do 5 minutes of Brahmari breath and then be able to go in the grocery store. That's why I teach the tools the way that I teach them, and that's why I teach the ones that I teach. Because what I want to give you is pocket-sized, bite-sized little things that you can stick right here in your back pocket, and when you need it in the moment, there it is, in real time. So, Brahmari breath, humming bee breath, a fantastic way to help balance the system, clear anxiety, quiet the mind, and shake loose any bullshit that we don't need. Another way, let's see, which ones do I want to offer? Here comes the kiddo again. Which ones do I want to offer? Cooling breath, as well as warming breaths, can be good for clearing the system as well. For example, if I am experiencing anger manifesting within me, my live was restricted for some audiences. I guess pranayama is a restricted practice, right? So do me a favor, guys, share the live if you can, now that I'm restricted again. What, honey? No, I already told you that I do not want you cutting up the watermelon by yourself with the sharp-ass knives that I have. I told you that I will do it with you, son. This is not a space for negotiation. Please go have yourself some breakfast. There's some eggs that you can cook. Fig bars that you can have. Okay. Okay. Love you. I'll be in a little bit, okay? I'll probably be in about a half hour so I can come eat with you. Okay, great. Ooh, okay, Regal, hold on. Anything past a deep breath. Breath work always makes me overthink my breathing and stresses me out. Can you have a fig bar? Yes, Zach, absolutely. We'll save you one. Okay, Regal, thank you for sharing. We can talk about this a little bit. Anything past a deep breath always makes you feel stressed because you're focusing on your breathing. Yes? it's actually a really good reason to engage in breathwork practices. But because of that, I don't want you to be pushing yourself to a point where you're like, right? So explore different kinds of breathwork practices. Bringing attention to our breath is going to bring attention to our breath. Our breathing as a natural background process, it's actually, you hit upon something. Sorry, hold on. My brain's going to take us on a side track here because you hit upon something that's actually really important. When you bring your awareness to a thing, it shifts the thing. If your natural rhythm of breathing is not conducive to, say, a full breath, then when you go to try to take the full breath intentionally, more than once or twice, your system kind of goes, ah! And mostly it's because it's used to breathing in a different way. A lot of us breathe up here in the upper chest or just in the lungs, very shallow breath. So when we start doing, for example, Durga Pranayama or 3-part breath, it can feel really uncomfortable. So take your time, pace yourself, don't push yourself too hard, and choose these nice, soft, gentler, slower practices. So Durga Pranayama, 3-part breath, is simply pulling the breath into 3 parts here in your torso. Inhaling it into the belly and expanding the belly. Inhaling it into the lungs and expanding the lungs. Inhaling it into the collarbone and expanding the collarbone. When I first started doing this practice, my belly did weird things. My shoulders did weird things. Like my system was like spazzing out, trying to figure out how to get a full breath in. It took time. But the outcome, the result, is absolutely worth it. And you're looking forward to practicing Brahmari breath before paying bills. Freeze PTSD from when... Yes, my friend, exactly. Brahmari is a really good one to use, like I said, in acute situations. So I mentioned a moment ago, cooling breath, Sitali. Cooling breath can be a really good one to use if you have an intense thing come up, especially if it's something like anger or you're feeling heat in your body or heat in your head. If you ever experience that whole, my head is going to pop, this is so frustrating, Sitali or cooling breath or sheet kari. My Sanskrit is not great, so please, thank you for not judging me. Are both really good practices for cooling the body, bringing the body down. In fact, before taking 5 deep breaths, if you're hot with anger, I would suggest using a cooling breath before I would say take 5 deep breaths. So the first one, it's going to sound like shikari every time. Shikari. I'm sorry guys, I'm butchering the Sanskrit. But it's a cooling breath that involves breathing through the teeth. You inhale through the teeth, exhale through the nose. So it would look like this. When you do this, be aware of the tension in your jaw. Try not to create more tension in your jaw. So this is multifaceted as a practice. If I'm upset, I'm probably already clenching my jaw. So what I do is bring my attention to my jaw, and then I inhale through my teeth. Keep that jaw nice and relaxed. This has a cooling effect on the body, on the brain, on the energy system, on the quieting effect on the voice, cooling to the major organs, especially to the liver, which is where we understand as our anger center. We hold our anger energy in our liver. So this cooling breath can be really helpful for bringing yourself down from a moment of being really hot-headed. Okay? This is another acute, so again, if I'm working to protect my energy body, to clear my energy body, I need to balance and align my energy body. If my energy body is in a state of rage, It's a contractive energy. So I'm pulling my energy in as well as then making weaponized, almost like arrow-like energy at others, attacking others with my energy. So I pull everything in and then I'm sending out arrows, right? Sending out energy to others. That is not a protective space to be in because my energy body is so contracted. I am much more vulnerable to other people's energy, to other attacks, because my energy is pulled deeply in. Can I show it again? Gigi, yes, absolutely. You said, I'm sorry I missed it, trying to keep, oh, yeah. Okay. So one version of cooling breath. I'll give you a second one here in a second. I'm waiting. Yes.
Could I listen to music?
Mijo.
Oh yeah, I can.
Thank you. If you can answer the question for yourself, it does not need to be asked at the moment. See? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Cooling breath. Cooling breath. One version of cooling breath, and I'll show you a second one here in a moment. One version of cooling breath is to inhale through your teeth, exhale through your nose. So it would look like this. Do so being mindful of the tension in your jaw. You don't want to create extra tension. Also, again, this is multifaceted, right? If you are already upset, you probably have tension in your head, in your neck, in your jaw. You're probably already clenching your teeth or clenching your fists, right? This is because it's a contractive energy. That energy pulls inward. So instead of focusing on that contraction, we're going to focus on the relaxation here. And we're going to bring in cooling breath to cool the entire system. So again, that goes like this. Keeping your jaw relaxed. Nice open pathway, airways. Inhaling. Again, before you take 5 deep breaths when you're angry, I would suggest choosing a cooling breath first. The second version of that, it requires you to roll your tongue. That's why we have a couple versions, because not everybody can roll their tongue. If you can roll your tongue, little taco tongue, you inhale through your tongue and exhale through your nose. So you stick your tongue not all the way out of your mouth, but right here at the opening. Make that little curl. Inhale completely, close the mouth, exhale completely through the nose. Inhale, curl the tongue. Exhale through the nose. Again, if your system is hot, if you are angry, frustrated, if the brain is obsessive and judgmental, any of these tension, hot energies in the body, feelings or emotions in the body, cooling breath is a really nice way to meet them. Cooling breath, be mindful if you are already, if it's snowing outside and you're hot, go ahead and use cooling breath. But if you're already feeling cold, then cooling breath is not ideal. So a lack of confidence or the energy of fear, these are cooling energies, wet, cold energies. So to clear the system of those, we want to fortify our system with fire. Do not, I repeat, do not do these. Mullah Cookie, do not do these in public. You couldn't help it. Your grandma popped into your head. In fact, I encourage you to do these things in public. One of the things I love about pranayama and mudras is that I can do them pretty much anywhere and anytime. Is it going to look a little funny for me to be standing in the grocery store checkout line and going like this? Yep, sure is. Can I do it in the aisle of the grocery store when nobody's looking? Yeah, sure can. Can I go to the bathroom or go back to my car and spend a couple of minutes doing these practices so I can go back into the grocery store and deal with the asshole who's at the checkout line or whatever it is? Yeah, totally. That's why I do these, is so that you can use them in public. And honestly, using them in public, I have never actually, no, let me see, think about that. I don't believe I've ever had somebody come up to me and be like, don't do this, Jesus loves you. Except on the lives, right? In public, what I get more is people saying, what are you doing? I'm curious. I'm interested. I'd like to learn more. I'd like to know more. Oh, that's awesome. How cool, right? I get really positive feedback when people see me doing these practices in public, but there's a lot of times where people don't even see the practices happening because I also am a bit self-conscious sometimes about doing them. So I like to do them in a way that doesn't put me on blast in the middle of the grocery store. Am I going to start screaming a mantra and doing yoga in the middle of the grocery store aisles? No. In fact, I wouldn't recommend doing that because that's disruptive to the shared space that everybody's trying to move about, right, in public. That's why I offer bite-sized self-care, back pocket self-care that you can use sometimes a little more subtly, right? Yoga is really helpful and really powerful for aligning the physical body and balancing the energy as well, and the emotions, and dealing with anxiety and PTSD. Absolutely, meditation and yoga are really great for these things. But again, if I'm in the middle of a job interview or I'm at work and something is happening, I can't just roll out my mat and go into a down dog behind the register, right? Or whatever it is that I'm doing. That's not quite appropriate. So, pranayama, mudras, mantras that you can use quietly. These are things that you can use in the moment when you really need them. So, we went for balancing breath, alternate nostril breathing. Brahmari breath for clearing and balancing. We did sheet. I don't want to say it because I'm saying it wrong. And Sanskrit doesn't always have like a single way to spell words. Sitali is one version of the cooling breath. Sheetkari is my poor pronunciation of the other version of cooling breath. We did 2 versions of cooling breath. So now, if your system is cold, damp, fearful, apprehensive, feeling guilt, warming breaths can help to fortify our center of self-esteem, our center for will, our solar plexus, our sense of self, can help boost confidence. If you're about to go do something to a job interview and you're nervous, give yourself some breath of fire. Give yourself some Bastrika, bellows breath. So there's 2 different versions that I'll teach here. Breath of fire. Please be more aware, I guess, of your system when you're doing things like breath of fire because it can generate too much heat in the system. Be mindful of where you're at. Honor your edges. Treat them with compassion and grace, right? Rather than trying to fight your way through this delicate space. So one version, breath of fire, is to focus on the exhale itself, using the belly to kind of push the exhale out. We pull in at our diaphragm over and over and over and over. It is a practice that we do for, typically you can do like 30, you can do 10, 20, 30, 60, 80, however many breaths that you feel called to do. Honor your system. I would suggest starting on the lower end, right? So, Kapalabhati, or breath of fire. We take a big, deep breath in, and I encourage you to place your hand or your fingertips right at your diaphragm or just below, because it'll help you focus your attention here on the belly when we do this breath. So take a big, full, deep breath in. Exhale that breath completely, and then you'll take a half breath in to begin. And once you take that half breath, you focus only on the exhale. We're going to go for 10 rounds. Okay, so inhale, exhale, half breath in, and exhale through the nose. 10 rounds. Breath of fire. Pause after those 10 breaths and just see how the system feels. Want more? Do 20 breaths. Big deep breath in. Exhale completely. Half breath for a count of 20. Rest. At the end of the practice, just release your breath and let your breath find its own rhythm. If you'd like more, you can do it again. 30, 40, 50, 60. If you're familiar with doing this practice, you can start with 60, move to 70, 80, 90, right? Bhastrika can also help to expand the lung capacity. So if you are doing, for example, box breath, we inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. Box breath, I find, can be one of those that makes us kind of catch our breath a little bit. Chris, I know that you were talking about it with alternate nostril breathing. When your system is imbalanced and you're trying to do alternate nostril breathing or box breath, which requires a square, an equal part, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and you find that you're like, I can't quite breathe, try Kapalabhati, couple of rounds of Kapalabhati, because it expands the lungs capacity for breath, makes more space in the lungs, clears away stuck, stagnant, old air, old energy in the lungs, in the throat, and in the diaphragm. It flexes the diaphragm, right? Flex your diaphragm. Okay. Again, the only warning I say with Kapalabhati is that if you already have heat in your body, if you already have excess heat in your body, literal physical heat in your body, or you're in a state of anger or frustration, I do not recommend using Kapalabhati. Sebastian, how long have I been sitting like this? I don't know. We've been live for 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I wiggle around. I love meditation. Honestly, this is the practice that this came from sitting in meditation for hours on end. Maybe next week we can talk a little bit about how to get deeper and deeper into meditation. We talk about mindfulness and a lot of tools, and I teach meditations, but we don't talk a lot in these classes about really how to sink into the depth of meditation. If you're somebody who says I can't meditate, or you've never experienced the quiet states of meditation, then I think you'd really benefit from the foundational concepts of meditation in the way that they have worked for me. And if they don't work for you, they don't work for you. But these have, trying to meditate for years and never being able to, busy mind, busy body, whatever it is, and then finding these and being like, oh, there's meditation. Holy moly. That I'd love to share with you guys. So, and yes, it does include the position for seating and stuff like that. So maybe we'll do that next week. So I want to reiterate here, guys, too, that in this space, information is free. In this space, I am here to answer the questions that you have, to share the practices, to practice them with you, and to show you how all these practices work together to support your overall well-being, and honestly, the well-being of the collective as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to throw them out in this space. Please note, it is a public space. It's a busy space, so sometimes I miss questions. If you leave comments on my content, I will do my best to get back to you and make response videos. However, if you are a member here on TikTok, or you go get your membership at Patreon, which is ideal, please, then I make direct, personalized content for you. I make personalized content for my members. So if there is a specific practice or a specific issue or a specific challenge that you want help with and you want a specific practice for it, a video that you can download and keep for yourself, you got to be a member for that. But if you pop into my comments and you ask me a question at random about things, I will usually try to make a response video for you. The reason that is because I charge for my personal time. These free classes that I do, I really love to do. This information is so, so, so important. Again, like I said about meditation, there were so many things that I have worked with and tried to do in the past until I found some of these foundational practices. The things that I'm teaching in here are the things that have shifted my personal practice, my spiritual practice, my health, my overall well-being, my relationships, my ability to parent, my ability to think clearly, to balance my own health and wellness. Life-changing. These tools I offer for free because they have changed, not just changed my life, but literally saved my life. And that should be free. Life-saving measures should be free. That's my feeling on it. That's my opinion and my judgment on it. So I share it for free. And that's no judgment on anybody else who chooses to charge for information. I do not condemn any way anybody else chooses to operate. That is, you are your guru. You do what is most appropriate for you. But I want you to know that in this space, I don't charge you for information. So feel free to throw suggestions out, ask me for things. That's how this week came about. I was asked last week to talk about how to protect and to clear the energy body and the energy system. So we're going to spend all week long. Nope. Go back inside. I will be back in a little bit. I've given you a couple of warnings and told you that I would be in a little bit. Go please now. Thank you. So, you're very welcome, Bonita. But, again, I'm not a martyr, right? So, I'm not giving away all of my time and my energy. The more energy and time that it takes from me to do something, the more I charge for it. I do offer one-on-one coaching, private coaching sessions. I am very, very, very selective with who I work with, and I only work with a handful of people. And that's not meant, again, as any kind of judgment. That is more recognition of the effectiveness of being able to work together. If we are not aligned, I'm not going to work with you. And that's not a personal thing. It just means that our energy does not align, and that means there's somebody else out there that's better suited for you. If I took you on as a one-on-one client and I wasn't suited for you, I'd be doing you and me a disservice. So we don't do that. I also require a commitment to work with me for the hour-long sessions. Why? Because you need to be making a commitment to yourself. These are not things that, these are things that you can do today and then not do them for another 6 months. But you're not going to be receiving the benefit of that commitment. And again, the commitment is not about paying me. The commitment is showing up for you. At the bare minimum, anybody I work with needs to be doing at least 5 minutes every single day of self-care. I need you to commit to a minimum of 5 minutes every single day. If you can't get there yet, that's okay. Start with 3 minutes. Start with 1 minute. Start with wherever you are. But, yeah. Okay. Side note, all of that said, so if you guys want to see different types of content in the coming weeks or months in the live classes, definitely let me know. And I'm happy to share a lot of this stuff because things like the foundations of meditation are helpful, important information. Things like how to clear and align and balance our energy systems are really important, helpful information. So I keep sharing those things for free. Pranayama is a fucking amazingly powerful practice. And I wish we could all learn how to breathe better. It would resolve a lot of symptoms that many of us are experiencing. Not even realizing that we're creating our own states of being by the way our breath just takes off with itself. If you notice, when you are angry or sad, your breathing patterns change. When those emotions come up, they change your breathing patterns, which also means the converse is true, that if I change my breathing pattern, I can also change my energetic state and my emotional state. You can spend years in therapy and never be able to manage your emotions unless you have the tools to manage them in real time. You can't call your therapist at 3 a.m. when you're having obsessive thoughts, nightmare, or whatever going on, right? Who do you turn to in those moments? Who is there in those moments? You are. And so, in that way, I always refer to you as your guru. Always refer to you as your inner captain, as your therapist, as your doctor, as your partner, as your protector, as your playmate, as your friend. All of these parts are first developed here. And when we develop them first here, when we cultivate them here, we have a solid foundation to build everything else on outside of ourselves. But if we don't have that foundation here, it is very difficult to build anything on top of quicksand. And if I do not practice self-care and self-love and self-compassion and things like that, then everything else I'm building is on quicksand. Because I'm not creating a solid foundation. I'm leaving space, a black hole, desperate for other people's energy. Desperate for food to satisfy a need for nourishment. Desperate for intimacy to satisfy a need for connection. Desperate for control to satisfy a need for a healthy sense of autonomy, right? Constantly chattering away about nothing to satisfy a need for being heard. The body. This is your check engine light. The personality, the ego, is a mirror into the self. Not your enemy. Not out to get you. Not your attacker. But your friend, your partner, your guide. We live in a culture that teaches us that the self is empty and monotoned and weak. But that is because the powers that be benefit from you constantly clamoring for finite resources. Instead of healthy connections with others, a healthy sense of self and other, instead of that, we grope for followers on social media. Instead of nourishing myself with whole, healthy food that's meant to balance my body, I am satiating the need with false foods, fake foods, exaggerated foods that send my system out of balance. And we go so far out of balance that balance feels weird. I'm a nutritionist. I've been working with nutrition for a long time. And I remember that this, working with families, working with kids in particular, one of the biggest struggles that we have in getting our kids to eat healthy is that they go, well, it's bland compared to the MSG, chemical laden, fucking fortified, all sorts of whatnot foods. Yeah, they do seem bland in comparison to these exaggerated falsities. But most of us are taught to grope for these falsified versions of it. The tools that I'm teaching you here, the tools that I'm sharing here, is so that you can find the authentic satisfaction for every one of your needs. I used to want to go and heal the world and take all the pain from everybody. Instead, I realize now that it's your responsibility to choose your pain, to choose your suffering. So, this is all about the tools for you to do that, for you to cultivate the awareness, for you to have ways in the moment to meet yourself where you're at, honestly, with love and compassion. Okay. So, we did alternate nostril breathing, humming bee breath, Sheetkari, and Sitali. I just did 2 inhales back to back. That was weird. We did Kapalabhati, breath of fire. Bellows breath. Bellows breath is a heat-generating breath. It is also fortifying for all the organs in the body. It's a little bit different than breath of fire. Breath of fire, remember, was an exhale. Exhale. Only exhale. And the inhale naturally happens. Bellows breath is an intentional inhale, exhale. Okay? So let's do that with just 10. And I'm saying 10 inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So that's 10 inhales and 10 exhales. So we do it for a count of 20 if you're counting your inhale, exhale. So take a deep breath in, fill your lungs completely. Go ahead and place your hand on your solar plexus or on your diaphragm if you'd like to. Exhale completely. And then begin with alternating inhale, exhale, and a rapid succession. Pause. Woo-wee. See, that personally was too much heat for me. We already did Kapalabhati. It's hot weather here. And I have a Pitta, Vata, air, fire dosha. So that was too much. If you just did that practice and it made you feel lightheaded or woozy and it was uncomfortable, please don't do the practice again. Try some cooling breath or try a balancing breath. But if that felt really good to you, then I encourage you to go for it again. Again, that's bellows breath or Bastrika. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. This can help increase digestion. And that said, I do not suggest doing Bastrika on a full stomach. I do suggest doing Bastrika on an empty stomach. Honestly, all pranayama is best done on an empty stomach. But if you just ate and you still need to do one of the other ones, do the other ones. I do not recommend this one on a full stomach because you're pushing and pulling right there in your digestion, and it can give you an upset stomach. It can cause your digestion to move a little more quickly than necessary. You want to give your belly time to digest food, right? So give it at least, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, an hour after you eat. Feel it out. Okay, so Regal, you said when you did a sugar cleanse and tried a drink that you used to love, it was way too sweet. Yeah, again, as a nutritionist, if you can experiment with things like cutting out different things, even just for a little bit of time, it doesn't even have to be that long. So your system adjusts to something after about 3 days. It starts to adjust. It starts to expect that thing. As a nutritionist, one of the staples for just in general healing the way that you eat, I always suggest that you never eat the same thing for more than 3 days in a row. Can you eat the same thing for 3 days in a row? Yes, but on that fourth day, change it up. Then you can do another 2 days or 3 days or something, and then change it up for another day or two. Doing this can help boost your metabolism, can help improve your digestion, can help improve nutrient assimilation. Yeah. So we've got cooling breath, warming breath, balancing breath, a clearing breath. We've got things to help us clear out our emotional self, right? When my system is being controlled by my emotional state, when there's a big emotional thing happening in my body, again, like a weakened immune system, it can weaken my energy system. So finding that place of centeredness and balance is going to be one of the first and foundational things that you can do to protect your energy body. Things like psychic attacks, things like negative energy, things like energetic hooks or energetic arrows, or people siphoning our energy. All of these things can be avoided when we resonate at a higher frequency than the energy of those things. So I want to encourage you that the more you focus on protection itself, the more you're actually resonating with the energy of things that you need to protect yourself from. Does that make sense? I'm not saying ignore the reality that there is negative energy and energy vampires and people throwing arrows and darts and shit like that, right? Don't ignore it. Yes, it's true. But work to fortify your imbalance and improve your system more so than working on protecting your system. Put stones around your house. You know, these can passively protect your energy space without you focusing on the need. Thank you, Nicole. Without you focusing on the need or the threat. When I focus on the threat or the fear of something going wrong, I am cultivating more of that energy because I'm resonating at that energy. Am I going to acknowledge that the risk or the fear thing exists? Yes, I'm going to acknowledge that it exists. When I feel a negative energy, I'm not going to ignore it because I can acknowledge that happened. But instead of focusing on protecting myself or pushing that energy away, I can just focus on realigning my energy. And we're going to offer, like I said, I'm going to offer on Wednesday and Saturday more tools in this capacity. Today we're just talking about energy work or breath work, because breath work is one of the foundational ways that you can balance, clear, align, and fortify. Is there a pranayama specifically for protection itself? It depends on maybe you could say that there is one or two that are protective, but they're only protective in the sense that they fortify the system. So Bhastrika, bellows breath, that fortifies your organs and your breath, it fortifies your system. It boosts your immune system. Same with Kapalabhati, breath of fire, can also boost your immune system, increase your digestion. It can boost confidence. It can improve upon the energy of your solar plexus, which is where self-esteem and confidence come from. Strength not always comes from, not the only place it comes from, but one of the places that it comes from. I do more to protect myself by raising my vibration and aligning my energy and clearing out the nonsense I don't need than I do by putting on armor and weaponizing, right? So I encourage you to find passive practices that are protective, specifically protective, like stones, like burning incense or sage or whatever you feel called, Palo Santo, that kind of thing. And we'll talk about some more of these later on in the week. You can also use sigils. You can use mantras, but again, state the mantra a couple of times and leave it there, right? It's like this idea that the truth does not need to be argued over. And so I don't need, if I am truly confident in my ability to protect myself or to stay protected, I don't need to repeat the mantra of being protected. I can say it a couple times confidently, knowing this is my mantra, I'm going to set it in place, and I'm confident that it's there, and I'm going to walk away from it. I'm going to put it down. The more I repeat that mantra that comes out of fear, right, then the more if there's a point at which I'm doing it to fortify, to improve upon, to set the intention, and then I'm doing it so much that now I'm sinking into just obsessing over the fear. Balance. Being aware and present in each moment of maintaining your balance. Charity, your day 1 of no meat. How's it going so far? I want to add too in this moment that we will talk in this later in the week about ways foods to clear, align, balance, right, and protect the energy body and the physical body. We'll talk about some of those things too. But I want to encourage everyone to, yes, work towards a really healthy, aligned whole food diet. But that can look different for each individual. So there is not one way for everybody. For some people that may be eating meat. For some people that is not eating any meat at all. For some people it is just eating fish or eggs. For some people it is absolutely no sugar. For some people it is absolutely no alcohol. For some people it includes both sugar and alcohol. So in terms of diet, in terms of food, in terms of fasting, these are things that I'm really, really, that are sensitive topics that I don't want to convey the wrong idea, right? There is not one recipe for every single person. And if you're curious what your system requires, I would encourage you to study Ayurveda, find out your dosha, and or just go read Eat Right for Your blood type. Those are two really great lenses to look at the system and to see it as a unique system that has a different way of operating with each system. Nicole, you have no clue on WH? Oh, what's right to eat? Yeah, you're welcome. Charity, it's a little stressful because you were hungry and your mind wanted more normal and you redirected. So far, so good. That's what helped me a lot. So I actually was fasting and I came off of a fast and tried meat, and immediately the first taste of meat was awful. And I just took that as okay, here's an opportunity to not eat meat for a while. I have been meat free since 21. Really? Has it been 3 years now? 2021? June 2021? I think. So, but the most helpful thing for me really was redirecting with things that were, okay, so actually, oh gosh. So as a nutritionist, I've got this whole chart of cravings and what your body's craving when you're craving it. A lot of times when you're craving meat, what your body is, well, actually, when you're craving sugar, what your body is craving is fuel, is energy, right? And you get that energy in different forms from healthier foods than sugar. So when your body is craving sugar, I always suggest going and trying a protein. So meat is one form of protein. However, the human digestive system takes quite a long time to digest things. And ultimately what meat does is it ends up kind of rotting, and sorry, it's gross, in the digestive system. You added fish back this year. Nice. See, good job being flexible, right? So meat, our digestive systems are a little bit slow compared to carnivores. Because of that, meat can kind of rot in the gut, and it causes a variety of issues. Does that mean it's bad for everybody and nobody should eat it? No, I'm not saying that. You do you, boo, okay? That said, there are other kinds of protein that the body actually processes better because of our digestive system. One example of this is beans and rice. The combination of beans and rice makes a hearty protein that the human digestive system can process faster and better and can take more nutrients out of. Hi, Metatron. How are you? Mullah Cookie, you've shed weight and reversed disease on carnivore. I will reintroduce veg and fruits in time. Organic. Yeah, so I've also heard either the keto thing is one of those things, or meat heavy thing is one of those things that's very interesting to me. I've had a very meat heavy diet in the past, and I used to, like, for example, when I fast, I would come off the fast with bone broth immediately, because I always felt like if I didn't have the fattier meats, I was very much pork, fish. I don't really like beef, except for unless it's a really fatty beef. I used to always go for the really fatty meats. Part of that is my metabolism. And I also found that when I ate the fattier meats, my brain functioned better. My brain just got, so when I was fasting, I would come off the fast, and what do you feel when you're fasting? A lot of times is that lightheaded, woozy feeling. First thing I would do is have some bone broth, and I was back to centered, balanced, and clear. However, so I recognize the benefit there. In not eating meat now for several years, I still find the same result in other fats, nuts, avocados, things like that. And those give me a kind of boost that helps here without making my body feel really sluggish. And that's the thing with me for meat. Is meat going to keep you from your spiritual experience? No. Okay? You can still eat meat and you can still have spiritual experiences. Hey, Project Love, how are you? But certain energies are denser than other energies. Just like if I am drunk as a skunk and I go to sit down and meditate, my capacity to hear my higher self may be a little bit thwarted by that energy, right? Yeah, Charity, I steer away from telling everyone to say, you know, oh, if you drink milk, then you can't have a spiritual experience. Oh, if you eat honey, you can't have a spiritual experience. Oh, if you eat meat, then you can't. Oh, if you don't eat kosher, then you can't. Oh, if you eat fish, then you can't. Everybody's got you can and you can't. But the truth is that your system is a unique system that is on its own journey. And for a while, that system may require you to, or may function really well on meat, dairy, sugar, right? Our systems can work with a lot of different things. As you go upon your journey home to self, that is a journey of aligning with your inner truth. And as you do that, you're going to notice that certain things fall away, like maybe alcohol or smoking cigarettes or lying or codependency or meat or whatever else falls away. Allow these things to fall away naturally if they start to fall away. I encourage you again, the same thing is that you can go out anywhere in the world and you can find a bunch of like fight for it, work for it, push yourself, make yourself hurt, you know, no pain, no gain. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we do in this space. We honor where we are at in this space without judgment and without shame. Because that itself creates a great deal of space for healing and realignment, much more sometimes than fighting with ourselves can. Somebody asked a minute ago, is rice good for you? I was going to save it for later in the week when we talk about foods, but yes, white rice in particular is considered in Ayurveda, white rice is considered a balancing rice. Brown rice is fortifying. Wild rice can be fortifying in a good way. White rice is balancing for all the doshas, any constitution. If you are feeling sick, here's a really good example. I just had COVID recently for the first time. That shit sucked. I don't eat meat. So I usually what I do when I'm sick is bone broth or chicken broth, right? Or chicken soup, but I haven't had those things in several years. This time I needed something. White rice. Awesome, Nicole. That's awesome. You get your questions answered in clarity. Good, my friend. So, white rice is balancing to all doshas. Another really fortifying food, but also herb, is called fenugreek. Fenugreek is a really good, you can make a tea out of it, you can make a porridge out of it, or you can make a medicinal hearty tea out of it. You can eat it, you can drink it, you can... I've never eaten it raw. I don't know if it's any good raw. Fenugreek is a really healthy fortifying and has protein in it. Lentils is also another really good way. If beans are really heavy on your system, which for some of us beans are heavier and lentils are lighter on the system. So lentils and rice. If you join me in the Discord, in our community Discord space, I drop recipes regularly. I think I do every once a month. I drop recipes. Fenugreek, Fenugreek, Fenu, Greek. Fenugreek, I believe. Charity, you're mad at Discord. I'm sorry. Can you guys help me find a developer who's willing to help me build an app for us so we don't have to deal with Discord? Please. What time do I come on? Okay, there's a schedule pinned at the top of my content on all the platforms, but I am live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm thinking about adding a Friday night yoga nidra session where it's not a bunch of back and forth. I'm probably gonna turn off comments and we'll just do yoga nidra. So yoga nidra is a really soothing bedtime practice, calming practice, visualization practice, breathwork practice. It's the most zen of yoga. um, yeah, so I'm thinking about adding that. I did put it on the schedule, so we'll see how that goes this week. But the schedule is pinned in my content. Discord is where I hang out because social media actively hides my content. You guys saw it earlier when they hid my content here. I said, let's learn pranayama. And they said, your live is restricted because it violates community guidelines or content disclosure or whatever the hell their thing is. When I post mudras and energy work, almost all of my content, I have to appeal it for them to put it back up. So instead of fighting the algorithms, I have the Discord space so that I can share tools with you, so we can talk at length, so you can ask me questions and I can answer them honestly and clearly, rather than trying to beat around the bush with different words and whatnot that aren't allowed on the socials. So if you can get into the Discord, come into the Discord because I share resources there. We can talk at length there. There is group coaching and private coaching available also, but those require a membership. You can get into the Discord totally for free. I have a link tree. It's linktree/ at Move with Change. Move with Change. Hey, Jessica. I am Move with Change on all the places, all the platforms, on Patreon, on Linktree, on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Clapper, fucking Lemon8, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever the hell it is. I'm on all the places. And I'm Move with Change in all the places. Kick and Twitch too. If there's any particular place you want to see me live, reach out and let me know. And if I get enough people saying, hey, come to Facebook because that's where I hang out and that's where I'd like to watch you live, then I'll go there. But right now, I am live on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram for the last little bit. Do I watch IG Reels? Yeah, sure. I browse through all the socials just to kind of keep up on what's going on. But again, I hang out in the Discord. So if you want to talk more at length, particularly about nutrition and fasting, I talk much more freely and openly about those in the Discord. Again, because social media, this is a public space. I don't know who's coming in and out, and I don't want to add to anybody's imbalance. If you are wanting to work with nutrition or fasting and want a guide, we can work together. I do offer one-on-one coaching sessions. I do offer packages for that kind of stuff, memberships for that kind of stuff. Again, membership can be acquired here on TikTok, but because TikTok takes a lot, like up to 50%, so they're only giving me like 40% of what I'm making right now. Maybe. Those exist there on TikTok for convenience. Those prices will go up to reflect what TikTok takes out. If you would like a membership that doesn't change, that's on Patreon. If you want to just join the Discord for free, you can join the Discord for free. The Linktree link is in my bio. So today, to recap, this week we are talking about the energy system, about how to protect, clear, and align the energy system. Today we were talking about, we're going to split it into 3 different sections: breath, body, and being. Today we talked about lots of different types of pranayama, and we didn't even touch on mantras, like at all. So maybe what I'll do is I'll make some videos of mantras. Yeah, I'll just video these things. That said, I am hiring. I need a video editor, I need some moderators, and I need a developer to help me build an app. So if anybody has these skills and is interested in an exchange for services, let me know so that I can, so I can get better use of this content here. Replays for these classes will always be available on YouTube for up to a week after the class, and then I put it into an archive. If you would like access to the archive of all my classes, of all the mudras and all the breathing and all the kriyas and all the classes and all the shenanigans, you can find that with any level of membership. Any level of membership gets you the link to my archive of my classes. And there's a lot there. Project Love, you need to remember to go to Discord more. You always forget about it and need to put it on your main page. I know, that's why I want to have an app that like sends little notifications and like is really easy to use and is really user friendly, so you can just find all the shit you need in there and have spaces where we can hang out and chat with each other and keep topics. Like we're gonna build an app. I promise you, we're gonna build an app. It's gonna get there. But if you have questions, if you want to talk about these things, go into the Discord first, because I'll see that first. I don't have notifications for any of these social medias turned on. I don't get any of the notifications unless I go in there and look. So if you send me a message or leave a comment, you've got to wait until I go in there and look, which usually only happens like once or twice a day because I try to stay off the socials. But I try to check for comments. But at the Discord, I have notifications turned on and I see everything that happens anytime. And there's a library, we're building a library of resources in there. Okay, so what did we go over today? We went over alternate nostril breathing as a clearing, balancing the system, and also as a diagnostic for imbalances, not major imbalances, but imbalances in like the right and left, solar, lunar. We're looking at the big system, not at the finer pieces of the system, just at the big right, left. How am I breathing on both sides? Then we went over Brahmari breath, hummingbee breath, for clearing the system, for clearing racing thoughts, for clearing the head, for aligning the energy system as a whole, for shaking loose any of the debris and nonsense that no longer suits us, that's ready to be let go of, right? That's Brahmari breath. Then we practiced 2 different versions of cooling breath for when you're feeling pretty fucking hot-headed. And then we practiced 2 different versions of fire breath for when you're feeling a lack of confidence or in a state of fear. Be mindful. Anxiety is one of those really unique things. Anxiety for me in some moments is a state of fear, is a contractive state of fear. And bellows breath or Kapalabhati are what I need to do to warm my system. However, there are other situations where anxiety is more fueled from a sense of anger and frustration. That needs to be addressed with a cooling breath. If I am already hot, I don't need to add fire to the fire, right? And if you are in a state of anger or anxiety or any of these things, one of the first things that I would suggest doing is breathing before you grab any other tool. Mudras, mantras, yoga, visualization, I don't care. Anything else that you do, breathe first. And not just 5 deep breaths, but warming breath, cooling breath, clearing breath, balancing breath. Yes! Can you rewatch the live, Aaliyah? Today's live and all the lives for this week are on YouTube. So today is Monday. So last week's Monday is going to be gone from the archives, right? So after we finish a class, right now, if you go to YouTube, you'll see last week's Monday and you'll see me live. And then after this class, last week's Monday goes into the archive. And this week's class replaces it. So you should always see about 4 classes unless I've missed a class. You'll see about 4 lives at any time. Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, I do Bhakti Bites. Bhakti Bites is where we sit and talk and practice these tools. And where I do a lot of question answering, right? Fridays, I teach Tiny Yoga. Tiny Yoga is a 30-minute gentle flow for everybody in every space, and it was born out of living and traveling in small spaces, tiny homes and RVs, and feeling like I couldn't practice yoga, couldn't adjust my body unless I had a full space for my yoga mat and stretching and all the stuff. I was absolutely leading myself away from my personal practice, and so I developed this class, which is really just a chair yoga class, but it's particular to doing it in small spaces. The benefit here, the micro macro, the mirror that we get here with Tiny Yoga is the recognition that this is a finite living space. My body, my meat bag, is a finite, confined space within which the infinity of the cosmos exists and is available to me. It was actually a moment of seeing the genie from Aladdin pop into my head and say, "Infinite cosmic power! Itty bitty living space." That's what I felt like. Traveling in the RV, living in tiny spaces. I was like, but we have this infinite cosmic power! Why am I stuck in an itty bitty living space? It's the nature of the experience in this world. So, in Tiny Yoga, we explore the infinite cosmos within our itty bitty living space, as well as practice yoga in a way that makes it accessible, no matter the mobility of your body or the available space within your physical outer space, right? So, right now, the replay of last week's class is on YouTube. I usually plan the classes very shortly beforehand. So again, I try to theme them with a week. But if you have any questions, if you have anything that you're like, I usually go live a couple minutes before I start Tiny Yoga. So if you want to come in on Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, a couple minutes earlier and say, hey, I am stuck in my car in traffic and I need some yoga for that. My neck is all messed up and I need some yoga for that. Hey, my hip or my right back or my sciatic or my foot or whatever. If you want to come in with your personal stuff to influence the class, do so Friday morning just before 10 a.m. and let me know what you want. You're very welcome, Regal. Again, this is me following my truth. I thought that what I wanted to do was to create a training course, right? I wanted to take all the information that I have learned and put it into a text, put it into books, put it into theory, put it into classes so that everybody could take these classes. And I thought, that's how I'm going to retire, right? That's going to be my passive income, and I'm going to be able to finally I guess, earn something, right, from the knowledge that I've gathered. Every single time I try to do that, life in general becomes more and more difficult. The more I focus on trying to put that information down in a text that you can then buy and read, it doesn't work. What has always worked, is that when someone comes and asks me for the information, it's as if the herb and pranayama practice and yoga pose and dietary change all float up to the surface and coalesce into this beautiful little package just for you. It's always been frustrating for me because I'm like, I wish I could just sit down and put this information down in a logical order so that I could hand it out and create training courses and shit like that. It doesn't work that way. That's something about my system, that's something about me, and that's okay. That's my authentic expression in this reality. My system responds. So I encourage you to ask because it allows the information to get out there. Okay, Cappy, your question here. Electrical Wi-Fi storming in, flowing and going through someone else. Does that hit you or affect you? Are you talking about me specifically or in general? Electrical Wi-Fi storming. So are you talking about an electrical charge, like a physical electrical charge? Because a physical electrical charge, yes, absolutely. Our systems are conduits for energy. What's a great conductor of energy? Water. And we are what? 75, 72% water. And electricity runs very well through us. And our heart is a generator for that electricity. Our heart generates the toroidal field of energy that goes around our body. So, two systems next to each other absolutely interact. My system and another person next to me, our systems are actively engaging in an interaction, in an energetic exchange. If I am standing by the Wi-Fi, which is an electrical device, yes, it absolutely affects my system. Can I heal my system? Can that damage my system over time? Yes, absolutely. Can I realign and heal my system? Yes. Part of realigning and healing is also clearing away toxins in our environment, right? So when we talk about protecting our energy body or protecting our system with foods, A lot of the times it means fortifying our system with foods. It means choosing foods that raise our vibration or clear out our systems rather than foods that pull us into imbalance. And some of those foods can be different for you or me. That's not. You're talking about Wi-Fi electrical. It looks like Wi-Fi specifically. I'm not sure what you're asking, friend. Does Wi-Fi affect the energetic body? Yes. Yes, I am sitting in an RV. Wi-Fi can affect your system. So does standing next to another person affect your system. So, let's see. The heart generates this. If you would like to learn more about the heart in depth, and you have the mind, right? You like reading the studies and you like reading the science of it. I encourage you to explore the Heart Math Institute. They've been working with the heart and the energy system since like the 60s or 70s. So they have a really beautiful body of knowledge that they've been working on with the heart and the energy field around the body. I encourage you to. Sorry, I'm reading the previous comment there, Mullah Cookie. Anyone who says, my truth is only one truth. Yeah. We don't need to go down that path, right? Okay, so. Of course, Cappy, not a problem. So if I am hoping to protect my energy system, one of the best things I can do is raise my vibration, is align my energy system with my authentic nature. That means I am actually protecting myself from other people's negative energy or from any sort of from imbalances by being within my truth. And my unique truth is going to be my unique truth. It's not going to look like anybody else's truth. Are some pieces going to resemble other people's truths? Yes, absolutely. But the perfect recipe for my authenticity is only the perfect recipe for my authenticity. So that requires a sense of awareness for myself and personal responsibility for my energy. If I am constantly putting myself in a place of being victimized by other people's energy because I believe that other people's energy has control over me and I don't have any control over my energy, well, then we will perpetuate that state. Argue for your limitations, and indeed they are yours. This is what I remind myself often, and I try to do it with compassion. Argue for your limitations, and indeed they are yours. What limitations are you arguing for today? What limitations are you arguing for in your relationships with food, with substances, with your work, with as a parent, as a person, and with God, right? What limitations are you arguing for? Become aware of those and start letting go of your attachment to imbalance. How am I supposed to be authentic and balanced if I've never really been authentic and balanced, or I don't even know what those things are like? By finding the tiny little ways in which we say yes to ourselves, yes to our truth, and yes to our energy. And just letting things go that aren't for you. The less we create a battle around it, and the more we can just be flexible with it and allow these things to rise and fall in our lives. When I need a relationship, this relationship comes to me and is part of my life. And when it starts to dissipate, I might no longer need that. But by my attachment to it, I cause myself further imbalance, and I prevent my own growth as well as the growth of my partner. Cappy, you say it's so hard to do that being an empath and a massage therapist. Boundaries. I do energetic body work, and I would love to share with you some practices, Cappy, that have helped me. But again, a big part of it is keeping your energy clear, keeping your system fluid. You're going to pick up. Just a second. I'm almost done. You're gonna pick up energy. You're gonna be interacting with somebody's energy field. If you are close to somebody, you're interacting with their energy field. You can't avoid that. But what I have found was that keeping my channels open and learning to move energy through me when I had my hands on somebody else, when I was doing body work on somebody else, that allows that shit to literally just roll through me. Same thing with any other energetic attacks. Somebody throwing negative, somebody throwing shade your way, somebody sending psychic attacks, somebody throwing energetic arrows or emotional things in your back, right? Any of this energetic stuff. People can throw them at you all fucking day long. And if you are rigid and fearful and they're probably going to hit you. It's probably going to get stuck in your energy field. But if you can keep your energy field fluid and open and relaxed, then these things flow directly through you. There's no need for them to get stuck or caught. There's nothing for them to get stuck or caught on. And when your system is like that, that means your system is open to universal life force flowing freely through you, which that in and of itself fortifies and protects your system, clears and protects your system. So in an ideal reality, if I am aligned with my authenticity and I'm keeping those channels of energy open and I'm allowing that life force to flow through me, I don't need protection. Because I am in a state that does not allow to be, you know what I mean? Is not vibrating at a state of being attacked. It's why we say things like 2 wrongs don't make a right, or don't lower yourself to that person's level. We have the words to talk about the energy because the energy is lower. And if you lower yourself to that energy level, you will be much more susceptible to that energy. You'll be participating in that energy. You can choose not to participate. Okay. One of my favorite stories about that, I remind myself often about this one, especially doing lives, right? And going out in public and things like that. People come to us with their energy and they want to give us their energy and they want to take from us our energy so they can satisfy the need for that universal life force that they're not getting quite as clearly. Many of us are taught to just push and pull from a finite world for our energy, and that's not what our systems are meant to be built on. So, one of my favorite reminders for this is the monk sitting in the marketplace. This monk sits in the marketplace on a regular basis. He enjoys this practice, eyes half open, watching the coming and going, the rise and fall of energy as it moves through the marketplace. And this particular week, there was an individual who decided he did not appreciate what the monk was doing. He didn't think he should be doing it in the marketplace. It's not an appropriate place for him. It's disruptive. It's whatever. He's pushing his beliefs on whatever it was, right? This person came with their gifts to give the monk. And he started handing them over. I don't like what you're doing. You shouldn't fucking be here. Aren't you listening to me? What the hell is your problem? Why aren't you paying any attention? Why are you forcing your beliefs on other people? This person kept shoving those gifts toward the monk over and over and over and over again. And finally, the guy is getting more and more irate, right? More and more frustrated because the monk's not participating in the energetics the guy was expecting the monk to participate in, which happens a lot. Finally, the guy yells at him and he's like, you don't fucking understand anything I'm saying? Can't you fucking hear me? The monk smiles and opens his eyes and he says, yes, I can hear you. I simply choose not to receive the gifts that you are offering. They are not for me. And he goes back to his meditation. We can be like this. Those attacks, those insults, the misconceptions, the shitty attitude, the judgments, all of this stuff are reflections of that person's state of being, not yours. You do not have to be pushed and pulled and swayed and poked and cajoled by other people's energy. Learning to balance and center yourself is one of the most important parts of that process. Very first thing that we should learn, because once we get pulled off, if I'm practicing balance, I still might get pulled out of balance. Somebody might come at me with a serious, right hook of energy, and it might knock me right in the fucking jaw. Woo! Have you ever had somebody's energy come at you like that and you're like, oh, you got me. I felt it, but hold on. I don't need to carry it. I don't need to fucking interact with it. I don't need to echo it. I don't need to integrate it. In fact, I don't even want it. So you know what I'm going to do? I might do several rounds of that until the revenge voice in my brain starts to quiet down a little bit. And once that part of me settles down a little bit, then I can reassess and say, how can I address this? Right? Because there are certain offenses, there are certain things that we do need to address. And there are some things that we can just let roll off. So, this week, we're going to continue working with these things. We're going to learn, today we worked on the breath. Wednesday, we will work with the body. So physical things, physical movements, foods. What else do I have in that category over there? Dancing, yoga, kriyas, self-hugs. I do have some practices, energetic practices for protecting the energy body in a physical form. Wednesday at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Pacific time is when I come live. I'm usually on a little bit before and I'm usually on a good bit after, as you can see. And replays are on YouTube for up to a week. If you want access to the archive, you got to snag a membership. Any level membership gets you access to the archive. And if you don't get the link when you sign up, please send me a message and let me know. Okay, so Wednesday at 10 a.m. we will work on the body and physical aspects of protecting the energy body. It's going to include things like stones and sigils and foods and things like that, tea and herbs, and as well as physical movements. I'm going to do my best to make some content this week on some, because we didn't even get into mantras, and it's already 2 o'clock, so now I'm almost an hour late for my lunch date with my son. So I got to go. But I'll make some mantra content this week. Again, guys, remember these platforms actively hide my content. So if you want to get a steady feed of my content, you can get it in the Discord. You can join that for free, or you can come and just look into you might have to look into my profile to see some stuff, Again, if you are a member and you want specific content created for a specific question that you can download and keep for yourself, send me a message or comment on something, and if you are a member, I will make sure to make that content for you. If you are not a member, I do still make response videos, and those still are downloadable, but it's much more extensive as a member. So, again, the information is free. The information should be readily available to everyone. Time with me and my time, that is what I charge for. I do offer one-on-one coaching. I do offer group coaching. All of those things are available through memberships here on TikTok or on Patreon. And I'd prefer, if you can, go to Patreon. All of my links are in my link tree now. I think it's Linktree, link.t, I don't know how it goes. Linktree, Move with Change. I am Move with Change on Linktree. You will see a spot to leave donations if you want to support this work, because, like I said, I am doing this piece for free and we still have bills to pay. If you would like a membership but you cannot pay the dollar bills amount on the gate, please reach out and speak to me about it, because I am always open to trades as long as the trade is supportive for both parties. All I ask for is an exchange for membership. An exchange. It doesn't have to be dollars. It doesn't have to be any particular thing. We work together to find what works for us so that you can get the services and the tools that you need. The Discord is free. Come join us in there if you want to engage with this content more. Go to YouTube if you want the replays up to a week. I am going to boogie, and I will make some, it'll be good. It'll be good for me this week to do some mantra videos. So I will make some videos on mantras for protecting and clearing the energy self. And if somebody wants to be my video editor, then I'll trade you a membership too, because I need help going through my videos and editing them. Okay, I love you guys. I am going to go ahead and say goodnight to Instagram. Sweet dreams. Good night, YouTube.